Well, hello.
How are you doing, buddy?
We doing good. How are we doing?
Good, good. Hello to everybody. All the usual suspects I see are joining us.
I have to look over there. I haven't even seen over the list yet.
Wow. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be joining us from. Welcome to the program. This 11th day of September 2020. Obviously, the significance to that is this is the 19th year since the big blast happened in New York.
Really, eh?
Years. Now, do you remember where you were when that happened?
Yes, I do.
And I remember where you were. Do you remember where I was?
No, I was with Reno. I know that. I wasn't with
you guys were on the West Coast in BC shooting.
That's correct. We were at one of those lodges way out in the middle of the ocean there, sort of thing.
And I was vacationing in Jamaica.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I remember it very well. But boy, 20 years. Hard to believe, eh?
Yeah.
That's really hard to believe. But yeah, so it is. 11th of September, 2020. Before we get on with all the other little tidbits, news and stuff, we will tell you this. Our special guest today is coming to us from the East Coast of Canada. And for those of you who don't know of him, you will certainly, when this is over, you will know a lot about him. And you will know him very well. However, I do need to tell you that we're having some technical difficulties with the signal. So bear with us.
We were talking to Jimmy earlier, and he says, "Just tell him I'm living in a cave in Newfoundland. I haven't got a good signal." He said, "He's already starting with us. He's hilarious."
In typical Jimmy fashion, right?
Oh God.
But just to let you know, we will. So if we seem like we're dragging our feet here, it's because of the technical difficulties. All right. So first of all, a little bit of business. We want to ask you to please join us on the poll, which will be closing at 1 o'clock, as it does each and every week.
Join us on the poll. Listen to you.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a strip bar, had a river bar or something. Please join us on the poll, everybody.
I never thought about it that way. You're right. We do a poll each week for those of you who are regulars. This week's poll is kind of interesting. And let me tell you something right now. We had a quick peek before we went live today to see where it stood. And I don't know about you, Mr. Bowen, but I'm very surprised.
I didn't even see it.
Oh, you didn't see it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. I am very surprised where it is right now.
I know. I would guess that when you say that. When you say that, you made my guess.
Let me not sway you one way or the other. Go to fishingcanada.com and get on there and let us know which of these three fishing lines do you prefer to use. And your choices are braid, monofilament, or fluorocarbon. And when we say which do you prefer to use, which one do you use most of the time? What's your go-to line? What's the line that, if you're spooling up a brand new reel, what's the first line you think of putting on that reel? So
or what you like to use the best, because there's certain, like I certainly like to use one of the three more than the other two. So, there might be yes, they are tools, but I like to, if I can use one, I will use one too. So I won't sway them either on that one, but yeah, it's funny.
Also, we are supposed to ask you to join, if you like this live stream, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well.
Please
help us get some numbers up, which never hurts.
Yes, indeed.
And that matter, join all the things that you can join with Fishing Canada, whether it's these live webcasts, the fishingcanada.com subscription list, the contest subscription. I mean, every little bit.
On Facebook too. We have a couple of Facebook pages. We got Instagram. We got all the socials too. So please, it helps us out a lot for sure.
We will be posting as usual our bonus code for the fishingcanada.com contest. That will be coming as per usual somewhere towards the end. Do I hear something in the background there?
I hear you grumbling there. Like your audio's going.
That wasn't me. That sounds like a cave in Newfoundland.
I hope we do get him in here sometime soon.
Yeah, so the bonus code will be posted somewhere towards the end of the broadcast, right at the end. So keep an eye out for that.
Yep.
And what else do we need to remind them about, Mr. Bowman?
Well, we can tell them about what's on the new on the website this week. Obviously, we can pump the website very much as much as we can. That last week's guest, Jim McCormack from Port Hope, that's all up as to the interview with him on Fishing Canada and on YouTube, as to the closure of the access to the Ganaraska River for salmon fishing. And it is on right now, by the way. The salmon are running. They're starting to move. They're in the harbors right now. They're in the river mouths areas and all that kind of stuff. So they are starting to move. And it's a big thing in Port Hope. Not as big as the steelhead, but well, yeah, actually it is as big as the steelhead. He said yes the last week because of all the tourism it's involved with it. So, so closing that down was huge. So that's that interview is in full on its.
What was the clarification? I know I asked them last week about this. Can people access the river by boat?
Yes.
Okay, so that's perfectly fine.
The boat launch is open, and you can actually, as from what I remember in Port Hope, you could run right up to the first CN bridge, the first railroad bridge, no problem at all. There's not much room there. There'll only be a room for a couple of boats at a time in there, but they can work from there all the way out past the piers. And then out into the lake, because there's still going to be some fish out in the lake. So yeah, you can still, the boat launch is still open. That's at the mouth. They're basically on the east side of the river. And,
there are some rivers that is it Bowmanville? I think it's the Bowmanville Creek that has a real nice harbor area that you can actually went and it's loaded with salmon. You can fish in your boat, which is very cool.
Absolutely. Now I don't know. Bowmanville's closed off yet from shore, though. It might not be closed either, right? They might not have closed. Because Port Hope's a bit bigger, but I mean, Reno and I shot a salmon show in Bowmanville Creek one time. We launched right there. We put the boat in, just started doing drifts and running these jerk baits and wow, like 30-pound salmon on bass gear, basically. You know what I mean? So it's a fun fishery. We're going to get out and try it very soon. Ange and I are going to get out and try it because it's an annual thing that you kind of look forward to, right? It's how often you get a chance to catch a stud of fish like that, and they look so nasty. They're building these big hook jaws now, and the teeth are showing up. They're turning black and goldish brown, and all these black prominent spots on them. They're a pretty cool fish, and they're very aggressive. They do bite, by the way. People say, they don't bite. Well, right now they're biting. I'll guarantee you that.
For sure. And you mentioned jerk baits, but any reaction bait like that is perfect for them right now, right?
I've got an idea in my head right now for it. I'm not going to say it yet. I'm going to try it. I might try it even tomorrow or this weekend. I might go out and just try it and see if it works. Got a couple of ideas. One, they're very opposite of each other. One's very quiet. One's very noisy. So I want to see if that makes a difference. So I'll try.
Noisy.
Yeah, I think so too.
A lot of folks are jumping in now. We have. Do we have any? Oh yeah, we've got Alberta from Lacombe, Alberta. We have somebody joining us. Sandy Bouchard, morning from Lacombe, Alberta.
Janice is from Manitoba, I think.
Didn't we shoot
so?
Lacombe, or did we drive through Lacombe one time in Alberta going to one of our shoots? I remember that name.
Yeah, probably. No, unless we put a lot of miles on in that province. That's for sure. As well on the I got a new blog on the website, a little thing about a couple weekends ago, 2 or 3 weekends ago, my buddy the Hitman out there, the Hitman. Let me tell you about the Hitman very quickly. Hitman loves fishing and hunting, and he says, "PD, I shrunk." I says, "What do you mean?" He says, "Yeah, I'm only 6'7" now." He shrunk an inch. 6'7". He's a monster, this guy. But we finally got together and had an outing this year. The Ugly Pike got a podcast. Got a new podcast out on our site too. You can access, and it's all about the weather changes and the effects of fall and muskie, etc., which is a big thing for muskie anglers, right? This is a big time of the year for all the muskie community. They will fish from opening day to closing day, but the fall is very big in the mind of the muskie fraternity, for sure. Big fish, different type of. It's not
totally different.
It's a whole different game now. But it's the time when you get those big jumbos, no matter what lake you're on, right?
Wow, we've got people from all the Western provinces. We got a big hello from Ron in Winnipeg and Ed in Saskatchewan. Wow,
nice,
cool.
This is awesome. They're all waiting for Jimmy Flynn.
I know they are, and who could blame them? We're waiting for it too. We will tell you, for those of you just joining us, we are having some technical difficulties getting hooked up with Jimmy. We had him on briefly prior to going on air, and then all of a sudden the signal dropped. So our team, Mike, Jordan, and Sarah, are busy behind the scenes trying to get hooked up with Jimmy. We are going to keep trying. Believe me, we will not disappoint you. If we have to do it via two-way radio, we'll have Jimmy on the program here somehow.
A couple of tin cans and a string, knowing Jimmy.
I've got Jimmy right behind me.
There it is, Jimmy. Here, as you're talking there, Angela, I'll try to play that first joke and let everybody hear it. Okay, let's see if you tell me if you can hear this audio.
I was walking down Young Street at 3 o'clock in the morning. This pretty young girl came up to me and said, "How would you like to sleep with me for $100?" I said, "I'm not that tired, but I could use the money."
Tyler Scott from the Stew is joining us as well. He's hilarious. Let me just tell you a little bit about Jimmy. We had the pleasure of actually spending some quality time on a shoot with Jimmy in 2012. We did an episode called it was on in Meaford, Ontario, and it was on a military base.
Army Base Bass.
Army Base Bass. Thank you. And Jimmy joined us on that one. I got to tell you, spending a day on a boat with this guy is total insanity. I don't even know whether it was pleasurable. And I'll tell you why. Because after a while, you're laughing so hard and that it hurts. And you can't stop. The problem is you can't stop laughing. And the other problem is that he's relentless. He's absolutely relentless. The more you laugh, the more he gets engaged. And he comes up with I don't know how many jokes he would have told on the boat that day, Pete.
Oh, ridiculous. Like
100, I would think,
Yeah. And we were trying to shoot a show, so we're trying to concentrate on fishing too. So you got that there, you're trying to place a cast there and work a bait and show Jimmy how to do it. He's making jokes all day long. To me, it's one of the most memorable days I've ever had on the water. Like, honestly, Angela Dan says the only pain that you have is your gut pain, because it was so different for us, because we're always quite serious out there. And, we're trying to get the show done. And we like to be light. Ange and I, we always joke around and all that stuff. But when you have a day with Jimmy Flynn on the water, a full day like that, oh, my God. And then that night, we had to go and listen to him again, perform that night, did a bunch more jokes. Like, he had another 100 new ones. Absolutely insane. So it was...
If for those of you who aren't as familiar with him as others, Jimmy's been doing the Jimmy Flynn music and comedy show for over 30 years across Canada and the U.S. It's a live thing. He does conventions from small 200 people audiences to thousands of people. He's performed with. This one I got to ask him when he comes on. He's performed with the Dixie Chicks at Massey Hall. Now, of course, they're not the Dixie Chicks anymore. They're just the Chicks, apparently, because Dixie was I don't know, for whatever reason they decided to drop the Dixie part. And he's toured with the Man in Black, who is a Johnny Cash impersonator. He does a tribute to Johnny Cash, and apparently. He's been touring with him. He's worked with Charlie Pride, Everly Brothers, Cheech and Chong when they were on tour still. He's performed with them. So he's no stranger to the big...
Can you imagine that show, Cheech and Chong, or Jimmy Flynn opening for Cheech and Chong?
Unbelievable.
That would be so good.
But, we love him to death because he's the most down-to-earth individual you'd ever meet. He's an avid hunter. He's a passionate angler. He spends as much time as he can when he's not touring on or near water. Absolutely loves. He's a great family man. He'll tell us all about that.
Now, he is in the waiting room. From what I'm reading, we can take a chance on him. We're not, the guys and girls there and the technical team can't get a hold of him right now. Something's going on. But if we want to take a chance, we can try and bring Jimmy in. I mean, even hopefully, the difficulties have subsided. They found a solution.
But if it fails, we'll go back to him later on. Let's see if we can get him in at all here, Mike. Our good friend Jimmy Flynn.
I see you brought your fishing gear.
Well, this works down east, right? I don't know
Well, throw it out there.
how
see
it's
what
going to
you-
work for these bass. I don't know. Huh? Do you guys know why portholes on a boat are round?
No,
They're round because when you're out in the sea and you're looking out through the porthole and a big wave hits the side of the boat, you don't get it right square in the face.
there you go. There you
There's
go.
the fish.
Jimmy Flynn.
I got a fish, my first Ontario fish. Look. Oh my God.
Yeah, got
Wow. There you go.
him. Look at that.
Look at the moles on there. And Uncle Billy died of drinking. Drank a whole gallon of varnish. They're a terrible death, but a lovely finish. Look at the camera and make a funny face like me.
How you doing, buddy?
Jimmy. Oh, he's stuck. I hope he's not stuck there. We got your hat on, Jimmy.
We'll help you promote your hat.
I got a
There
flip
you
flop for him.
Did we lose him again?
Oh, we lost him again. Poor Jimmy. Stuck in a
No,
cave.
we'll keep the hats on. How's that?
We'll keep the hats on.
I
and
never
hope-
went to the gym.
Yeah, we're gonna have a problem with him.
Spinner here. There we go.
There you go. There you go.
I didn't
The old Southwester.
Are you there,
go to the
Jimmy?
gym today.
Okay.
I'm here.
Here. You were going to the gym
I
today.
didn't
you
go
said.
to the gym today. That's 1,500 days straight.
Welcome to the program, my friend. We're having
Changed the name of, everybody calls the bathroom a John, but I'm changing it to the gym because it sounds better when the wife says to me, "Where you going?" I said, "I'm going to the gym."
makes sense rather than John. I agree. What's happening down there, my brother?
I actually did a show in PEI last week at the Stomp and Tom Connor Center, and an 80-year-old woman come up to me, and she had a little locket around her neck. And I met her last year, and I said, "You must have a real treasure inside that locket." She said, "Yes, I do." I said, "What do you got?" She said, "I got a new tuft from my husband's hair." I said, "But your husband's still alive." She said, "Yes, but his hair is gone."
All right.
Jimmy's on.
So, Jimmy, what's happening down on the East Coast with this whole pandemic thing? Are you guys all wrapped up in your cave, or are you out and about? What are you doing?
Well, we got to wear masks everywhere we go and use hand sanitizer. I use so much hand sanitizer in the toilet.
Oh, we missed that.
Okay, shit. Say that one again, Jim. We didn't hear that
I
one.
said, we've been using so much hand sanitizer and that type of stuff to keep the virus away from me that when I go for a pee, I actually clean the toilet.
Good idea, Jimmy. Hey, how's your brother? How's your brother coping with this pandemic?
Oh, the brother. Jeez, yeah.
I got pulled over by the police last week, and the policeman come up to me and said, "Sir, do you have any idea why I pulled you over?" And I said, "Officer, if you can't remember, I'm not telling you." But I'm actually going moose hunting in 2 weeks' time in New Brunswick, up at a place called Garvin. We go up there every year, and I'm really that.
Good for you,
We
buddy.
hunt moose for the club. We hunt moose for the club.
Oh, that's
Oh.
different. Why?
There's 22 guys, 22 guys in the club.
Jeez.
Have you been fishing, Jimmy? Have you been fishing at all during this whole shutdown?
The bars are working at half capacity down here. We've had a nice bubble in the neighborhood where friends could come over, all join off at 25 feet apart, and then we're down. Whatever happened? It used to be you wouldn't touch that guy with a 10-foot pole. Now it's down to 6 feet.
Exactly, it's shorter.
Oh, good.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, Jimmy.
My dad's 92 years old now.
Yeah.
My dad's 92 and he could go anytime. And my father said, "That's great. I haven't gone in 5 days."
This is going to be like on the boat, right? It's non-stop.
It's nonstop.
Trying to have a serious conversation is just, might as well just the hell with it.
You get a serious conversation with Jimmy Flynn. Really? You know what I mean? That's just not going to happen.
Hey, Jimmy, I got to ask you, this hat that we're wearing here, I mean, you've made it famous. This is the sou'wester, right? Was that what they call this? This hat?
Sou'wester, yeah.
Yeah. How did you start with it? Where did this come from? Where did this start for you with the hat?
Well, being a Newfoundlander, and his father was a fisherman. We actually wore these to get the sun off the back of your neck and kept the rain off going down there, right? So every time I did a show and I had one on, people said, "Where can you buy those at? Where can you buy those at?" So I made, and I think half of Canada's got one now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, for sure.
I was telling folks that you've been touring Canada for the last 30 plus years, and US as well. Are you still really active in the touring part of the business, or have you slowed down a little bit?
Things have really slowed down. The theaters, you can't get people out. We're lucky here in Nova Scotia. There's no COVID here, but we've got a bubble between Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland. So if you're in that bubble, you can flow. So it's been pretty nice that way. I hadn't seen my grandchildren for almost 8 months. I guess we did Florida, Texas, Arizona, Kayaks, and I got back on the 25th of February, and was just really starting then. And we were lucky to get home, and we're not catch anything, right? And it's a fun time. I've been, I've done several shows in the last 4 months, and but it's nice to get out again to see people laughing, clapping, and smiling normal. So getting back to normal is going to be hard for people.
Oh yeah, for sure. So there is no cases of COVID out there right now in Nova Scotia. Let's say current cases, I guess. Is that what you said?
Yeah, they got nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, no, there's none. There's no COVID here. We chased it away.
What was that story you told us beforehand about you and your wife?
Oh, my wife. It's not so much my wife, it's my brother and his wife.
Oh.
Neighbor said to him, like, "Frank, when you're in the bedroom with your wife, or neighbor who was watching last night had a great laugh."
I know this joke.
I
know this joke, but unfortunately nobody else heard it because you froze. Your signal froze. And the punchline is, well, the joke's on them. I wasn't home last night.
He wasn't even home last night, no.
I remember that one now.
Him and his wife went to see a marriage, and the marriage counselor come out and said to him, "Your wife tells me that you bought her flowers all the time you were married." And my brother said, "She sold for it."
Oh, we missed it.
Couldn't hear it again.
Oh man, that is brutal. That is brutal. We have to try and get them hooked up a little better, guys. Unfortunately, it's killing us because the stuff is hilarious, but when you freeze in the middle of it, it's just not working out, eh?
Mikey. You're muted, Mike. You're muted.
Jimmy, if you can hear me, if you can hear me now, I'm going to remove you from the stream. It's nothing personal, and I'd like you to call the office, please. Thank you kindly.
There you are.
Call
the office, Jimmy. Okay.
Yeah. Because we're missing it, and we'll keep the hats on.
Yeah.
We'll make this a tribute until he comes back. How's that?
Jimmy, my God. I mean, it's too bad. Even the ones that break, like that one, Andrew, remember the joke. I didn't remember it, but I did after we heard the punchline. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was about, somebody, his neighbors were saying, "Hey, we saw you and your wife making love last night through the window? He said, well, the last laugh's on you because I wasn't home last night. You know, that's Jimmy type jokes, right?
Yeah,
And God, he just
yeah.
thing.
Keep glaring on him for sure.
Unfortunately, as wonderful as the internet is, sometimes it just doesn't want to cooperate. So
They don't have COVID in Nova Scotia. They don't have a good connection there either. See? That's the problem.
Hey, is there a link there? Think about it.
Maybe.
Hey?
I like that hat on you, buddy. I like that. It looks good.
Yeah, I'll bet you do. So, anyways, we'll try and hook up with him. If you have not seen the episode that we produced called Army Base Bass,
Correct.
with starring Jimmy Flynn, you gotta check it out. It is just a hoot. You can probably pick up at least 20 jokes that you can make your own and entertain your circle of friends with just from that episode.
Yeah, for sure. It was a day of all days, for sure.
It was in Meaford, Ontario, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, what a wonderful experience that was. Not just for the fact that we had Jimmy there, but just the whole base experience was really.
It was really cool. It's neat to see those kids in training. You know, those young lads in their basic training and learning to shoot the guns and run the range. And then we saw the big howitzers there. Remember that? Those big. Oh my God. It was an insane, really cool place, and we were fishing right in the middle of it all, you know, essentially.
I don't know what those guns are called. You mentioned howitzer, but they have this gigantic. Maybe that was the howitzer, the one that they have to build and dismantle on the back of those trucks.
Yeah, something like that. It was huge. It was absolutely huge.
So what impressed me, but I'll just share this. Many things impressed me that week at the base, but so we went out and watch the boys on their exercise. Every day they have to go through various different exercise. I'm not talking conditioning exercise, but military exercises. And this one day we're shooting and following this group of soldiers that were in charge of building these massive cannons. They're all in a box on the back of these 18-wheelers, and then with the blow of a whistle, they have to take everything out of the box onto the ground, build this massive cannon, and I'm talking massive, incredible piece of equipment, and then with another blow of a whistle, they have to dismantle it and put it all back in the box and put it on the trailer and move to another spot. And so halfway through the day, I asked one of the drill sergeants, I said, if you don't mind me asking, this is incredible what they're doing, right? And they were doing it in like seconds. It was under a minute, I believe. I could be wrong, but it was quick, right? And it was like, I don't know, 10 of them, 10 guys working on this. Anyway, so I asked the sergeant, I said, this is great, obviously great exercise, both physically, but also from a military standpoint. But why in the world we be treating these soldiers to build this cannon and then take it down all within a minute? Like and he explained why. These are radio, these fire their ordnance via a tracking signal via radio to a target that can be 5 miles away. But then as soon as they unload that ordnance, they need to dismantle and move because they only have a minute before the enemy can get a return volley and blow them up. Can you imagine that?
You're like playing hide and go seek with bullets, with giant bullets, artillery. You know what I mean? Bombs.
Crazy.
Like, boom, shoot and go.
And you got to move because the bad guy's going to get a bead on you.
Yeah.
And do you in via satellite, via GPS, whatever it is. Holy mackerel!
It's like snipers, right? Like you see the snipers, they look for the gunshot blast, and the other snipers watch for that. You know what I mean? And they got other guys that they're trying to pop them like that. It's craziness. But now apparently Jimmy is there. He didn't call back in, so he's in the back room. So Mike says he's not confident anything will be different as to what we're going here. So maybe we can get Jimmy to call if we can get him on here and he can hear us, we can get him to call the office. They might be able to rectify something here.
Now
So,
he's probably going to try and call my cell phone though, because I think
no,
that's
well, Mike said to have him call the office, so we can get him to call the office. I think that's the best thing for him.
all right.
Let's see if we can come in here now. Oh, he's outside. Where are you going out? He's walking around the house, I think. Oh, you're on mute, Jimmy. I can't even hear you at all. Are you on mute on your computer or your phone? Or look at us 3 old guys trying to figure out the internet. There's a joke in itself right there. Okay. Hello. That's all he has to do. We can't hear you, Jim. I'm not sure.
Can you call us?
Can you hear us right now, Jimmy? Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us. Oh. If you can hear us, the boys need you and girls need you to call the office.
Okay, can you call?
This is a comedy show in itself. Call the office. I'm gonna do the old sign language like I did before. This is hilarious.
Sorry, folks, but the effort is definitely worth it if we get him on.
He's gone. Oh shit! I was gonna say maybe he'll call in there. In the meantime, maybe we could go through some questions if anybody has some questions if you want. I saw Calvin. Calvin did one about where he can get a sou'wester hat like this, and I think Jimmy sells them on his website, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he does. Now, the problem is, you would think it'd be simple, right? You go to jimmyflynn.com. That's
right.
what I would do, right? No, it's not his website. You have to kind of do a little bit of work on that one. It's not quite as straightforward as you would think. But if you Google him, it'll have his site information. Kent says, hey, guys, I know everyone is focused on salmon right now. Whoops. There he is. But the walleye bite has really dropped off. Do you think it's all the cold and rain? And what would you suggest? Location would be nice to know first where you're talking location-wise. But
yeah.
It is that time of year, right? It's that time of year where walleye can be, it's either feast or famine, it seems. There's nothing in between, They're either on the bite or, man, it's insane trying to get them to hit anything. But some bodies water more so than others. Obviously, it depends on where you're talking, Kent. If you can let us know, give us location, something to work with.
They could be on the move, Kent, too. Right now, a lot of walleye are in a migration mode. I'll use a simple one as the Bay of Quinte, for instance. The Lake Ontario fish right now are on the move, and they're still catchable in Lake Ontario, but they are starting to funnel their way in through the Adolphus Reach. This is just an example. And they are already started on the move. So it's a movement. It's a time of movement as well, time of migration as well. So even on a small lake, these fish will move around for either bait fish reasons, for food reasons, or for the possibility of spawning or winter coming up. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind. If you fish one spot year round, you're not going to catch walleye year round. I mean, as a rule, you might have one little honey hole that always produces, but as a rule, they will move for different reasons. So they haven't stopped eating. If you can find bait, you can find walleye, smallmouth, largemouth, everything else. Because I just had a report from another buddy who lives on a lake, and he's lived there for years, and he can't catch a largemouth bass, and he's a great fisherman. He's having a hard time catching largemouth right now. So he's got to find the bait and the fish, and then you'll maybe get some.
As we've said before, and Pete just mentioned about the movement, right? There are distinct periods throughout the course of the year where bass, walleye, muskie, any fish is going to move from their spring area to their wintering area, right? It's just a matter of following that path and being on top of it when the appropriate time is. And walleye, probably more so than any other species, has that movement, that migration that is pretty much etched in stone. So keep an eye on that. There's a blog on fishingcanada.com about fish movement that you might want to check out under My Outdoor Life, the blogs. Check it out. It'll help you. Sean Fortier says, Mr. Bowman, Ms. Vella, is a good idea to recycle line from one reel to another reel to reuse the old part for the bottom of the reel, which is a great idea, by the way, and a new part on top. and it's good, or is it good or bad to recycle line?
I think, you know what, braided line, it's great for sure.
But even anything as a base, I think it's great. I mean, I never ever take all the line off of a spool.
No, but what he's saying is pull it off and put it in reverse. Take it all off and now reel it back in so the bottom goes on last, so that you have brand new line. Essentially, it's been covered up for the whole time, right?
Yeah.
So on braid, for sure, that would work. There's
Yeah.
no reason why it wouldn't work.
Mono, not so much, right? Mono would be tough. So would fluoro, for that matter. I think
Fluoro, the biggest problem with fluoro would be the memory of it, right?
Right.
It would really memorize to that smaller diameter. But that said, it's still protected line, so you could do it. We're not going to say go ahead and do it, but for braid, it's brand new under there for sure.
And I think it all also depends on how much line are we talking, right? If it's a great big spool with 300 yards of line and you want to use 150 yards of it, yeah, I think it'd be probably a good idea. You know, especially if you're changing the configuration of the line. If it's on a big level wind and you want to put it on a spinning, it might not be a bad idea. I've never done it, to be honest with you, but it might. I've heard of worse ideas for sure.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it with mono because mono is very inexpensive, right? Mono is, you might as well get a new line, not take a chance. But I mean, the opposite end is very expensive too. So
the big bucks like yourself, I agree, but not all of us are able to make that comment.
Spool up 20, 30, 40 reels at a time. You know what I mean? I got my whole store there at my house ready to, to spool them up there. It's only a couple $100 a time. You know what I mean?
What's that for you?
What the hell, buddy? What the hell?
For you is nothing. Hey guys, what's your thoughts on people using canoes or kayaks to go upriver to Port Hope? First of all, is it legal?
Which is legal, he says.
It is legal, for sure.
Yeah.
It's legal.
He says, yeah.
I think it's great. The only problem you're going to have this time of year, obviously, is if you go in, she's a little nippy. She's a little cool, boy. But other than that, fantastic idea. Obviously, the issue would be if you get a big fish on, and I don't know whether you've ever done that before, but if you get a big fish on, well, you got absolutely no control, especially in a river environment. Like that fish will literally have its way with you, which is kind of fun, when I think about it.
Oh, yeah. Think about that. A 25-pound salmon pulling you around in a canoe or a kayak. Oh, my God.
That'd be crazy. You'd piss everybody else off that's fishing around you because you tangle up all their lines for sure.
Yeah, you know what? I think everybody would realize what's going on. I think it's like the good shore fishermen, they get out of the way if somebody gets one on. Well, it's the same thing with kayaks and canoes. They hold Billy Angela's got one on over there. Get out of the way, let them get through there, and the fish takes you away, and then they can start fishing again, right? So you kind of respect everybody as they respect you, and I think you get along fine. So, but I agree with Ange. I think it's a great idea. It's very COVID friendly, right? Yeah. You're in there by yourself, or maybe with a family member, or something like that, or a friend that you've been in your bubble. So you're not really introducing it to anybody else. So I think it's pretty good. I like it.
Mark wants to know: are we planning any future filming on the Bay of Quinte, Belleville, Trenton area?
We haven't planned it, but
it's always on our minds.
Oh yeah,
it never stops.
Oh yeah, we were just talking about it the other day. As a matter of fact, talking about the old days of Trenton and how the flats in Trenton used to be good largemouth stuff, and then of course Belleville's got a multitude of species with the walleye getting really good now. Sheephead under the bridge. There's all kinds of patterns that we always talk about now. Yeah, tons. So it's always on our mind for sure.
What are fish doing this time of year? Swimming the shallows or starting to head towards deeper water? We just briefly touched on that, Neil, a couple of seconds ago. It really depends on where the body of water. And hell, I talked to, now this is kind of interesting. I talked to a fellow angler a couple of days ago, and we were exchanging stories and stuff. And he said, have you ever heard of largemouth bass spawning in September, in August and September? I says, I have not, up until a couple of weeks ago. Another buddy of mine told me that he experienced that. Why, you ask? He says, well, I was out and I won't mention the lake that we all know, just last week, and I swear, I'm not kidding you. There were 9 beds in a bay with fish on it. Water is 62 degrees, and these are bedding fish. Now I know this guy knows his bedding fish, right? So I don't doubt it. But odd thing was that 2 weeks prior, somebody else told me the same story, not on the same body of water, that he swears he saw fish on beds. And I only say that because you're asking us the question, do fish move this time of year? And I'll make it even more complex. Do fish spawn this time of year? Is it even possible, biologically speaking?
I wonder if that fall equinox, whatever's coming up sooner, if that does some kind of an influence on the spawn, the false spawn, let's call it.
It's 2 weeks away.
2 weeks away. So maybe that's something to do with this, because water temperatures are the same as in the spring. When you said 62, you're talking about a spawning temperature in the spring for bass, right? So maybe there's.
But why now? Why? We've never heard of this before. We've certainly not encountered it. I've never heard anybody tell me that they have experienced it, right?
The one thing I've never heard of either, but maybe the one thing is that a lot of fish in our crazy springs nowadays don't spawn in the spring. So I mean, they've held their eggs. Maybe they've held their eggs, and now, of course, the eggs are dead. They're not gonna develop. But maybe they still have that instinct with dead eggs in them, if there is such a thing, that they go back in and say, you know what, maybe we can do this now. I don't know. I'm just firing that out.
From what the biologists have said, any time that happens, and it happens quite a bit actually, where they'll, especially bass, they'll attempt to go in. They hit all of the marks that they need to hit. They'll go in and start spawning, and then something happens. A temperature change of 2 or 3 degrees might not seem anything to us, but to a spawning fish, that's huge. And so what happens? They'll move back off, and if that happens more than once or twice, they actually give up, according to the biologist, and they absorb the eggs. The female absorbs the eggs back into her system and uses the protein in there as food, right? I've never heard of them being able to just put the eggs on hold all summer long and then.
Yeah, no, that's not what I said. I said that the eggs would be dead inside them anyways. I didn't know if it absorbed. So obviously they absorb them anyways.
It's like food, right?
Yeah, but maybe there's a trigger in their head that says, hey, I didn't spawn successful in the spring. Maybe I can now do it. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, are fish that complex? Who knows, right?
I believe this angler who told me, I believe he's telling me the truth.
Yeah, they're on beds, yeah.
And to have that big a number, it's not 1 or 2.
Yeah.
To have a whole bay.
They were largemouth ants, did he say, or smallmouth? Largemouth. Wow.
And I won't mention his name, so I can tell you the way he verified it was to go in and catch a few.
Really, eh? I don't blame them. I mean, they're not spawning. They might think they are, but they're not spawning. They're perfectly legal, and they're not going to spawn. By the sound of what you just said, anyways, the absorption of the eggs is long overwards. You know what I mean? So
anybody out there has a definitive answer on that, or maybe some input, let us know. Type it up, and we'll get you.
I'll put my 2 cents back to the question in that. The water temp 62 is cold right now, and that's got to be probably a little north somewhere. Right now in southern Ontario, it's still high 60s, mid to high 60s, and that's not cold water. That does not trigger the fish all of a sudden to move deep at that temperature range. What we're in right now is just the start of fall. You see in southern Ontario that the leaves are still green everywhere. Now you go an hour and a half north, they're starting to change. So the temperatures are changing, the system is changing, but what that does is, in my opinion, brings most species into the shallows. They come back into the shallows, and maybe the bait goes in shallows. I don't know what it is, but there's a movement that goes shallow before it goes deep, and a lot of fish go into that 3, 4, 5 feet of water instead of what everybody's thinking they're going down to 10, 15, or 20 feet of water. So
it's funny because I told that guy that I told him that, right? I said, this time of year is not unusual to have fish go back into the shallows to feed. Not the spot. He said, no. He said, I know that.
Yeah.
These are beds.
Wow.
That's in the middle of.
Awesome. Wow. That is crazy. So it's like they redid their beds too, right? Because by now they're starting to fill in with a little bit of mung and weeds and all that kind of sediments. So they'd have to blow back out.
Exactly.
Somebody sent us,
Perfect bed. By the way, you mentioned temperature affecting fish this time of year. More than temperature this time of year, according to all of the people that I've talked to, the scientists I've talked to, and you mentioned it, Pete, about the equinox. It's the light more so than the temperature.
Correct.
Shorter days. That's what will trigger this change, this fall change. It's just less light available, and so fish start doing things differently, and it triggers them to start thinking about winter that's not that far down the road, right?
It's the same thing with the leaves we are just talking about, photosynthesis. It just there's not enough daylight in the throughout a 24-hour period to keep those leaves nice and green, so they start dying off, right? So the animal world is we're the slowest animal species to know that kind of stuff. We just base it on, okay, it's September the 11th today, okay, it's October the 5th. You know what I mean? We don't notice it day by day, but fish and animals and wildlife, mammals, everything, they all notice it. They live by it, right? It's a built-in mechanism for them. So, by the way, Jimmy is getting his laptop.
I see that.
You see that? Okay. So everybody, just to let you know that Jimmy's finally getting his laptop. I probably got to go out to Best Buy and get one there, buy one there, mate. But he's going to get his laptop, and then Sarah and Jordan are going to try and get him going, and we'll get Jimmy back on to bring back the hilarity in here.
He's going to be all wound up when he comes on.
Can you imagine? It's going to be rapid fire. It's like machine, like that howitzer. You're going to be putting that thing together and apart. Oh my God. So. What other comments we got there, Angie? Anything?
Another Bay of Quinte thing. Obviously, people are really, Bay of Quinte. For those of you living in southern Ontario, and for that matter, I know people that from Quebec that drive to the Bay of Quinte every fall to experience their walleye fishing. There's people from the U.S. that drive up to experience. So you don't have to live in southern Ontario. I'll take that back. If you are anywhere and you're an angler, and you want to experience a totally unique, outstanding walleye fishery, you have to at least once do the late fall Bay of Quinte walleye thing, because it is extraordinary.
It's pretty weird, and you can pretty much, on a good day, you're going to average 10 pounds per fish. How does that sound for you? Now, the U.S. people will not be able to get in this year because the border will be closed. But anybody in the country, in Canada, if you want to come out, you're not going to do that every day. It used to be every day, but you're not going to do that every day now. It's just not going to happen. These fish have gotten deeper, smarter, whatever it is. But if you have a 4-day period there, you're going to get a day, and one of those days in there where you're going to go, oh my God, look at the size of these fish. And when you put it in a net, when you put a 10, 11-pound walleye in the net, if you're not used to that, you're going to swear it's 14 or 15 pounds. They look that big and gross. It's like, what is that thing? You know what I mean? I've never seen a walleye that big. So it's pretty mind-boggling for sure.
These are migratory fish, right? These big fish that Pete's talking about, these 10, 12, 14, 16-pound walleye. They spend most of their lives in Lake Ontario, somewhere. Could you imagine if you could figure out the summer run for those fish? If you could figure out where they are in their peak period in the summer, as long as it's not 300 feet deep, which it's not.
Well, I do believe that there's a couple of different, from what I've found, as little as I've found, and talked to people, there are a couple of different, so it's almost like smallmouth or anything else. There are open water walleye that run the bait all over, just like the salmon, and there are some that are stuck to structure. So I think if you could find that piece of structure like you're talking about, that they're a bunch stuck on, oh man, that would be fantastic. Hey?
Can you imagine a hump out there, a sunken island, that maybe tops out at 20 feet or something ridiculous, and it's just loaded with those big 10-pounders? Oh, yeah. God.
Yeah. You know what? There might be something like you don't get them in the day, but all of a sudden at nighttime, the top of that hump comes alive with bait and big walleye, and you get them on every cast. It'd be crazy. It'd be insane for sure.
Quick reminder to folks: if you have not contributed to our poll, please do so. It closes at 1:00. So in 9 minutes, you have 9 minutes to sway those numbers one way or the other. The poll is very simple. What do you prefer to use for fishing line: braid, monofilament, or fluorocarbon. And
Do you have a preference, Angelo? Do you have a preference as to one of the three? Like, let's just say you had to pick one for the rest of your life. What would you pick of those three? You can't, and there's no leader material tied to it. You got to use one straight from reel to hook.
No leader material.
Zero.
And I couldn't use anything else.
No, any size you wanted, type, but just the type. You have to go up and down in line cast, but you can't use the different types.
I mean, the obvious choice would be braid. Maybe that would be obvious to some folks, but I'm struggling with it. I'm really struggling with it because I wouldn't want to give up my finesse fishing, my stealth fishing, all of that stuff. Which
what about your top water fishing?
Top water, top shot. The two favorite presentations for me are exactly that: top water, drop shot. Well, you can't do either one of those, or at least I've never tried. I don't think you can with braid. So I'm gonna have to say fluorocarbon. It's kind of been
fluorocarbon sinks. It'll ruin your top water fishing.
But it's great for my drop shotting and jigging.
But monofilament could work great for that too. You just haven't tried it.
Yeah. You know what? That's a great
one, isn't it? When you really think about it, if you have to just use one. Yeah, when you really think about it, I would go fluorocarbon for sure. I don't do top water like you, as much top water as you do. Yeah. And the top water that I do is more of a steady top water, like a buzzbait or a whopper plopper or something like that. So you can kind of get away with a bit of fluorocarbon on that one. I would just at a pure preference. I think I could do it all half decent with over everything.
That's why I picked it, but it would be a tough one, man. It would be really like how do you go largemouth bass fishing or pike fishing without braid?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Wow. Huh. But I told you, I had a quick peek before we went live at how it was sort of shaken out, and I was surprised.
Kent says mono, and I got a feeling that's what it is. I think I got a feeling mono is still. I think a lot of people like it, but
it stays the way it was shaping up pre-programmed today. I will be shocked.
Okay. Good. To get your votes in, you got 6 minutes.
And it just shows you, it doesn't matter how long you do this or how at what level you fish. It's a moving target, and that's what I love about it. Right? You never know. You never know what the answer is going to be. And same as rods. And we do a spinning versus bait cast poll a while back, and asked people.
We've got a couple of them so far. If we didn't, it's on the list for sure, because I can't remember if we did. Yeah, I think we did, didn't we? And we did spinning was by far.
Spinning was by far the preferred, right? And,
I think so. So we got we're still working on Jimmy. So hopefully after the poll in another 5 minutes we'll get Jimmy back. We'll do the results of the poll, and then we'll get Jimmy back. So we can go back to another question or two if we want.
Let's go to John. He would use braided line. Oh, there it is for sure. Casting ability along with distance. It would be difficult not to put carbon line on the end of it. That's what we're saying. That's the perfect world. If you could put leader material on braid, then braid would be definitely our top choice, so long as we could tie on some fluorocarbon or some mono. I mean, and think about it. That's why we use those combinations, because they're perfect. Use braid for the main line. And then tip it off with whatever type of line is required for the presentation that you're performing. So, but I wonder how many people, we're going to ask that. I think we're going to ask that. How many people are using leader material on their lines, I wonder? Or are they just, putting one line on and that's it? No matter what happens, that's all they're going to do.
I heard Jimmy Flynn's on and good to go. We could bring him in before if we wanted, I guess.
Bring him in. Bring him in.
There you are.
Can we hear you now?
That's better.
Holy jeez, by.
You're looking good, brother.
We finally got him back.
Jimmy, thanks for being patient with us and coming back. We didn't want to give up on you today. We got a lot of people. You'll see a lot of people on the sidebar here that came in just to hear you and see you. So we didn't want to.
They don't care about us at all, Jimmy. They don't even like us. They just want you.
Yeah, I don't believe that. But we're all getting older. We're getting grayer. You know you're getting old.
Oh, yeah.
You know you're getting old when you fart and throw your back out.
You experienced that, obviously.
You're at the beach and you're barefoot and somebody says, I like your alligator shoes.
That's happened. How are things down east, my friend? Everything under control down there? You got everybody hopping the way you normally do?
Yeah, my kids have gone back to school the day before yesterday, and things are, like we don't have much COVID down here no more. Like we only had 5 cases actually outside the old people's home that died, right? God love them. But we don't have any cases here, I don't think now. So
Jimmy,
it's been a long run, boy.
Tell people where here is. Tell people where you are right now.
I'm sitting in this chair right here.
And where
I'm in a place called Tree Fathom Harbor, Nova Scotia, and it's in Chesapeake. It's on the eastern shore of Nova Scotia, just past the Lawrencetown beaches, and we live right on the water, fishing. It's a nice place to live. We catch 30, 40, 50-pound bass in my backyard here.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, stripers.
Stripers, yes.
Wow.
Really?
Where did you catch them at, Jimmy?
Okay, Jimmy, where'd you catch him at?
Right here.
And I fell for it, and I went for it. That's the worst part about it. Are you serious? You got stripers in your backyard?
Yeah, Porter's Lake flows right into my backyard here, and it's 27 miles long, Porter's Lake, and that flows right into the ocean in my backyard here. Apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, but a guy went over there one day years ago, and he caught a 76-pound striped bass, and it was supposed to be a world record, and he took it home and ate it.
76 pounds.
Yeah.
You know what? Remember what the guys, Henry and those guys, Andrew, were telling us about 50s and 60s back, like that's 15 years ago. So they're probably there. They're coming from the ocean, right? They're going to the Bay of Fundy.
God knows what was in and out of there. We went over to one there years ago, my brother-in-law and I, and we both cast out, and I got a 47-pounder and he got a 56-pounder.
Wow. And Jimmy, forgive me for asking this question on a live program, but where the hell is our invitation for Pete and I to come down and enjoy some of those 50-pounders?
Don't tell nobody where it is.
I can't blame you for that one.
But there's such a beautiful big fish, and down here in the Maritimes now, what's happening in a lot of the rivers, like the Miramichi River, striped bass are taking over the salmon thing.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's pretty critical, and there's so many people up in the Miramichi going fishing, apparently, clocking out of work and saying they're sick, going fishing, you had to actually shut the fishery down.
Really? Is that true?
Well,
How far from there are you?
from Miramichi?
Yeah.
Probably 5 hours.
Oh, so
Yeah.
Pete and I have fished it a couple of times for bass, and man, oh man, it's insane. It's insane.
Well, I remember last time you guys were down there. I was supposed to go tuna fishing last week, and it was an anniversary, and I couldn't go. But you guys got there the week before I did, and you caught a 1,005-pounder, and you caught a 955-pounder.
Yeah,
That was craziness. Yeah.
I'd say.
It was incredible. And I caught a 275-pounder, and they pretty tore my arms off. You had them some upset at me, I'll tell you that right now.
Good stuff.
We've been having a lot of fun. We've been doing a lot of singing and playing at home and writing some music and keeping people laughing. I was doing an iPod thing for a long, long time there, every day at 5 o'clock, and it was wonderful. We had sometimes 29, 30,000 people watching, having a laugh, right? So a lot of people say we got them through the COVID thing.
Nice.
You know, you might almost look at this hunkered down period that we're going through with the pandemic as the perfect scenario for the East Coast, because you guys, I mean, this is what you do every day. You know, you have these great little community groups and family groups. And one thing that impresses me about the East Coast is that there's always a party going on in somebody's garage somewhere.
That's right. I played in Badger last year in Newfoundland, and Badger has a population of 700 people. But everybody's got a double garage in the backyard full of band equipment. It doesn't matter who you are. You come in with your case of beer and away you go, right?
Yeah.
And, you wouldn't see that anywhere else on the planet.
No, no, sir, you won't.
And getting back to this COVID thing, they got these little guns now. They point at your forehead. They take your temperature. Don't let them do that to you, because it did it to me, and it changes your mind. I was going down to get a dozen eggs, and I come back with 224 of beer.
That's a good thing, isn't it?
There's a shocker.
Jimmy, this guy John Vandenbar. I have a bucket list. I want to go out to the East Coast. Where must I go to see? What would you recommend for people that want to go out to the East Coast? To see something that they need to see from Ontario, from anywhere else.
Well, the Fundy Trail is amazing in New Brunswick. It's all along the coastline, and you see the highest tides in the world, 28-foot tides. And that's a lovely drive down through there. The Annapolis Valley is spectacular too. Peggy's Cove and all along the southern shore. And the big one is the Cabot Trail. If you're coming down east, you got to go around the Cabot Trail. I mean, it's all windy roads and U-turn. I was down there last year, and a guy came around a U-turn on my side of the road. And when he passed me, he hollered, "Pig!" I hollered, "Idiot!" And just then, I ran over a pig.
There you go, John. There you go, John. You might even run over a pig and see a pig on the road. You never know.
The Cabot Trail is spectacular, and if you're going to Newfoundland, like Grossmoreland Park, and there's so much to see. It really is so much to see. If you're going to come down, you need a couple of weeks, and when all this craziness is over, I know a lot of people from Ontario and across Canada want to come to the Maritimes, and the Maritimes are hurting real bad now because they haven't got many tourists here now, right?
Yeah.
And they're not allowed to come here unless you isolate for 14 days, right? So, but it's been a long haul. The one thing, boys, I think what I'll recognize about this thing is that I think it's kind of changed how people, because everybody's been working so hard to make a living, and all of a sudden everything stopped and things open back up, and people spend a lot of time with their families and their kids and playing with their kids and doing that. So it's, for everything we lost, I think we gained a whole lot of humanity.
Oh yeah, you're right, and we wouldn't have had that without this COVID. Like that kind of relationship, family get together like that. It probably wouldn't happen. You know what I mean? If you're not doing it now or before this, then you probably aren't going to do it. Right?
Well, it's been hard on the old folks. My dad's 92. He's in the old people's home, and just before this started, I went to see him, and he was sitting on a hardwood chair and looking out the window. And every once in a while, my dad would lean this way, right? And the nurse went over and pushed him up. Then he started leaning the other way. And the nurse went over and pushed him up. This went all up, back and forth all day long. So I went to see him that night and said, "Dad, how do you like it in the old people's home?" He said, "Son, the people are real friendly and the food's real good. But you see that nurse over there? She wouldn't let me fart."
Oh, God.
Oh,
All right. Speaking of dads, we asked you this earlier on when we didn't have a very good connection with you. How's your brother? How's your brother coping with all this whole pandemic thing?
Oh my gosh, he's going through heck, honest to God. His neighbor said to him the other day, "Frank," he said, "when you're in the bedroom with your wife, for God's sake, close the curtains." Last night, the whole neighborhood was watching. They had a great laugh. My brother said, "Yeah, well, the laugh's on them. I wasn't even home last night."
There you go.
there's Jimmy's back.
Well, they're fighting all the time. They come home the other night and she had a suitcase by the door. And she's kicking him out. He picked up the suitcase, he's going to leave. And she said, "I hope you die a long, lonely, miserable life." And he turned around and said, "So you want me to stay?" Oh, yeah, they're fighting all the time. They went to see a marriage counselor. And the marriage counselor come out and said to him, "Your wife's telling me that all the years you've been married, you never bought her any flowers." And he said, "To tell you the truth, I didn't know she sold flowers.
How many jokes, Jimmy? You got to tell me. Have you ever sat down and put a number to the stories and jokes that you've used through your tour for the last 30 years?
Oh gosh, 1,000. I've got 10 albums out and 2 90-minute DVDs of comedy out. And every show is different, you know. I do so many different shows. The biggest crowd I ever played for was in Havelock, New Brunswick. There was 100,000 people there.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a big show.
How do you get new material? How did Jimmy Flynn get new jokes?
Do jokes. I thought put new material on my shirt.
I can't. I have to be very specific with you.
Well, people, you know, give it to me all the time. I mean, comedy's all around us. Like, you know, Donald Trump was on television the other night, and the guy was interviewing him. He said, "Your name is Donald J. Trump. Is that true, sir?" He said, "Yes, it is." And buddy said, "What's the J stand for?" And Trump said, "Genius."
Yeah.
All right.
That right.
Calvin has a question for Jimmy. He says, what is the fishing like on Brador Lake?
I fished there quite a bit as a boy. When the sea trout are running, it's very good. Codfish fishing is still good. But when the moratorium came in 20 years ago in Newfoundland especially, they told 100,000 people they weren't going fishing. And I saw it in my harbor because I used to leave this harbor and go with a fish box. You know what a fish box looks like? It's about 40 inches long, you know, and 5 fish would fill it. And all of a sudden the fish went from, you know, 20 pounds, 15 pounds, down to 5 pounds. Right? But now the fishery's coming back and they're getting some nice sized fish. I remember I had my sister's grandson with me. I used to catch fish bigger than him, you know. So those days are coming back a bit. But the big fishing fleets off the coast are doing a lot of damage. You know, they got so much technology now. They can see 100,000 fish and catch them all.
Yeah.
And that's technology. And as much as we have embraced it for recreational fishing and whatnot, I think the opposite. And it's good. It's good for recreational fishing because we're all pretty much of the mindset that we don't have to keep and kill everything that we catch anymore, right? We're out there because we truly enjoy the recreation. However, technology from a commercial fishery standpoint, totally different.
It's scary.
Yeah, it is scary. I mean, when you can see a mile of fish and catch them all, you know, and you want some of these YouTube channels and you see that, you know, it's pretty scary. They're not catching fish, they're destroying the world. What they're doing.
Exactly.
Yep. Now, have you ever fished the Brador Lakes? Because I know I have not fished there.
No, the only encounter I had with that lake was about 30 years ago. We were just in the first decade of the Fishing Canada show. We were approached by the tourism. No, it was DFO because DFO was a sponsor and a partner with us back then, and we were approached from them to see if we'd be interested in putting together a program to help develop guides on that body of water, fishing guides.
Yes.
You know, to take the freshwater Western approach to guiding and bring it to the East Coast. And we were all over it, but it never got off the ground. They never initiated the program. That's the first time I'd ever heard of it, and started looking into the lake. It's a fantastic body of water. I mean, I've never been on it.
And have you fished the Brador Lakes yourself? Or Marguerite River?
No.
No.
Wow. Marguerite River is one of the most beautiful rivers in the world. And in the fall of the year, the colors when you're driving around the Cabby Trail are just taking your breath away.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the sea run trout there, Jimmy, are they brown and brook trout, or what trout species are coming in? There's something about brook trout there, isn't there? Or is that the
speckled trout in the the rivers and brooks here, but they do have the sea trout run along the shore, right?
And what is the sea trout? What species is it? Is there a certain?
It's something like a rainbow. It's not a speckled trout, but it looks like a rainbow.
Oh, maybe it's a steelhead or something. Maybe an East Coast steelhead. I don't know. Interesting.
not a steelhead.
We're gonna have to set up a trip and come down sometime, and when the thing's all over.
Figure it all out. There you
Yeah.
go. Once you guys let us back in, you got us so blocked out right now at the gate.
I went in the restaurant the other day, and it said fish and chips, grease free.
Oh,
I ordered it. He brought it and was covered in grease. So I said to Buddy, "What's going on here?" It says fish and chips grease free. He said, "Yes, fish and chips $5.99. Grease is free."
I might have had that same order of chips the other night, by the way.
Did you?
Yep.
Same thing happened to me last week. I ordered lobster at the restaurant. She brought the lobster, and it only had one claw. And I said to the woman, "This lobster's only got one claw." And she said, "He must have been in a fight." I said, "Well, that's good. Take him back and bring me the winner."
Speaking of which, just out of curiosity, how much, living in that environment, how much seafood do you eat over the course of a week? Is it a main? Is it like? Just give me an idea of how much of it.
With us, we had scallops last night.
Yeah.
And shrimps the night before.
Okay.
And pan-fried haddock.
All right. So
Okay.
Give us halibut, get Labrador halibut sometimes, and lobsters and crabs. I'm eating so many lobsters and crabs, I'm starting to walk sideways.
So I wonder, when Lance brings up a good point, is that it's such a rarity for us to get good, fresh seafood. Would the locals enjoy it as much as us? I'm assuming they would. It's just a different thing. It's just an everyday part of their life versus us. It's a luxury, right? Because when we go there, Jimmy, it's just so good. Like when you have fresh lobster, it's ridiculous how good that is.
When it comes right out of the water, we go off our coast here. Pollock are running pretty soon, and mackerel are running. When you catch them right up and bring them right in, have the frying pan going on the beach. And
Oh man. Oh man, so they do still enjoy it as much as we do, Angie, for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
how could you not, right? How could you, for
I
sure.
don't know if I could do this or not, but I can show you.
Yep.
When I'm talking over here. Oh,
You dropped your beer there, Jim.
I know, I knocked my quarter rum over here. Can you see out there?
A little bit, yeah. What's going on out there?
That goose is crazy. Anyway, but over across the river, the bay there, the bay, the Porter's Lake comes into the backyard over there, right?
Oh yeah, there it is.
But
Nice.
yeah, God knows what goes up that river. Because every day the tide comes in and out twice a day, every 12 hours. So there's probably a pile of fish sticking in it. Right?
How much tide do you have there where you are, Jimmy?
Oh, it goes out 100 feet, I guess, from the shore, and then it comes back in again.
How high? How deep?
Yeah.
How
Twice
deep?
a day. How many feet would that be? I don't know. Probably 4 or 5 foot tide.
Okay. Yeah.
I think Jimmy's losing it because you said how much tide have you get out there? I'm sure there was a detergent joke somewhere to be had. You just didn't even do it. How much laundry's going on there,
This old couple are 80 years old, and she's up in the bedroom, and he's downstairs, and he says, "Frank, come up here and make love to me." He said, "I can't do both."
Oh God.
Loves your view. There you go. Beauty of a view.
How close are you to the Bay of Fundy? How close are you in
The Bay of Fundy, probably an hour.
Okay.
Yeah,
When the tide comes in there, the tide will bore, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's crazy.
You see the tide coming in 5 feet deep, and then they have rides. You get on a boat, you just ride the wave up the river as far as you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
Shubenacadie, I think that's called. Is it
I
Shubenacadie? Yeah. We shot in the Bay of Fundy last year, in fact, right? 2019, for bass.
For stripers, yeah.
It was spectacular. It was really spectacular.
That was Jimmy. That was a crazy experience in the sense of the boat. To anchor the boat in that 5 mile an hour tide was crazy in itself. Just getting the right spot, and then by the end of that fishing time, your boat is shifted completely. It sits still, and then the tide goes the opposite way. Now your boat's away off the spot you wanted to be anchored. You're 100 feet the other way. just shift it around like like natural there. But it's so different for people that don't have any idea about what a tide does, right? And it's so strong.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like they have 45-foot tides up in the Bay of Fundy.
Yeah.
So I remember one time a big cruise ship came into St. John, New Brunswick, and they tied up. And then the tide went down and it broke all the lines and drifted away.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Jeez. Yeah.
Hey, Jimmy, earlier on we were talking about the episode that we shot together in 2012 on the military base
Yeah.
in Meaford. Have you aside from that experience, have you been do you do any military bases on your tours at all?
Yes, I so booked actually. I was doing a big one in Borden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing a big fundraiser there on 28th of March. Of course, that was all canceled, and I did probably played every armed forces base in the country. I actually closed Baden and Lair in Germany back years ago. I was the last entertainer ever to play there.
Wow.
That was quite an experience. We were there for 10 days, and we sure had a party. I tell you that. It's such a neat spot because we'd go over to France for lunch, and then we'd go down to the Black Forest, and it was just, and it was like being on MASH. No matter how big the party was or what alcohol we drank that night, that little fella in the Jeep was waiting outside for me at 6 o'clock every morning to take me somewhere.
For him, right?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
You must have a good military joker too. What do you got from the military? You got to have something kind of Army, Navy, Air Force. You got to have something.
Military jokes. Oh God, my brother. The little saying down home. Guy said to my brother, he says, "Was it you or your Uncle Willie that was killed overseas?" And my brother said, "It must have been me. Uncle Willie never been over there."
See, that's a beauty. I love it. Jimmy's always
The last time I was in Toronto, I was at the Toronto Zoo. And when I was walking in through the gates, everybody come running at me. And I stopped the guy. I said, "What's going on?" He said, "The tiger escaped." I said, "The tiger escaped?" I said, "Which way did he go?" He said, "You don't think I'm chasing him, do you?"
Good point. Oh, man.
But the armed forces have been one of my career. I actually closed the base in Bermuda too. That was something else. And talk about going to Bermuda. They wanted to take me scuba diving when I was there, right? And the Armed Forces base, the diving team did. So they told me there's barracuda there, with teeth that long.
Yeah.
They never told me that when having something like this around your neck, swimming underwater.
Yeah, barracuda like that shiny stuff.
That was a human lure, right?
Exactly. Hey, let's go farther. We got to announce the poll.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
So, Jimmy, we did a poll. Oh, okay. I wanted to ask Jimmy what his answer was going to be. So we ran a poll, Jimmy. We asked our people here if they only had one line that they could use of the three popular types of lines: braid, monofilament, or fluorocarbon. Which one would you use? What's your answer on that?
Monofilament.
Monofilament.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's the winner, but I have to see it now. I didn't see it. So
bring it up. 51% braid. That
wow.
mind. That blows my mind.
Yeah, me too.
Wow.
And look how few people are using fluorocarbon.
Look at me and my little world of 11% right there.
Yeah, you and I both. You and I made
that. Yeah.
Wow. That's why I was shocked.
Yeah.
Wow.
That so few people use fluorocarbon. And so many use braid.
Well, most of my fishing was done with just a string and a pole when I was a boy, right?
That's braid. That's pretty much the braided line right there, right? That string that you used back in those Dacron and all that stuff we used to use as kids with those knuckle buster reels. That was basically a braided line. It was either mono or braid. So,
Jimmy, if you only had one form of fishing today,
huh?
what's your favorite form of fishing? You prefer, for example, you remember that when we spent that time on the lake at the military base where we were casting the shore,
Yes,
working.
yes.
That's a presentation, right? What form of fishing do you prefer to do today, or are you wide open? You can enjoy.
I was born with a fly rod in my hand.
You're a fly rod guy, okay?
Yeah.
And it's all I fished. I mean, I had some wonderful nights in Miramichi when we were shooting our television show up there. Between 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock, I caught 5 salmon, and the smallest one was 32 inches.
Oh my God.
Nice.
And then when we did the video in the Yukon up in the Tashashini River,
Yeah.
we got 105 salmon that week, and the smallest one was 33 pounds.
Wow.
All
All on fly, Jim?
No, well, up there they use rolled eggs.
Yeah.
And they use that down here to clean the rivers out, right? Because the salmon, that's all they eat when they're coming down. You see the eggs coming down, they can't help but get them, right?
Yeah.
But, it was my shoulders and back were sore for weeks after I come back from that trip, because when you hooked onto them, these fish are 4 feet long and 12 inches wide, and they turn sideways in the river, and the river's flowing probably 8 knots or something like that, right? And so you got to jump in a jet boat and chase them 4 or 5 miles down the river to catch them. It was quite a trip.
Really?
I have to send you that DVD. It's called The King Salmon Adventure.
Yeah, love to see it. Is it available on YouTube or any place like that?
Yeah, it's on jimmyflynn.com.
So okay, so earlier on, see now there you just made me look back. I said to folks earlier on, you got to go to Jimmy Flynn's website and check him out. But it's not just jimmyflynn.com, because he's got some other stuff, words in there and everything else. Because I remember having a hard time getting to your site. Now you're telling me it's just jimmyflynn.com.
That's it.
Good God. There's something else. I remember one time I said to you, I can't get on your site. And you said, what do you put up? And jimmyflynn.com. Well, no, you got to have star or something, or there was another.
Star Spangled Banner.
I went to the doctor the other day, and I said to the doctor, I said, I'm having a problem. I said, pulling my fly up. He said, well, come and see me when you have trouble pulling it down.
Jesus Christ.
An interesting visit, for sure.
Oh,
Oh, good God.
But yeah, it's just jimmyflynn.com. That's my website. You can buy all my DVDs and CDs there. And also you can go to Jimmy Flynn Facebook Live on YouTube. And all the shows that they did during the during the pandemic are there. And then if you need to laugh or something like that, some great shows there.
good. Excellent.
I'm glad you mentioned the pandemic. Look through your crystal ball for me, if you will. When do you think that Jimmy Flynn will be back on the road again?
That's a tough one. Like a lot of friends of mine, like April Wine and the bigger bands, are going to have a harder time in some respects than myself. Where they pay to 5,000-10,000 people.
Yeah.
But I'm really worried about what's happening down across the border, and they're not disciplined like we are. We wear masks up here, and then I don't wear a mask just to protect me. I wear a mask to protect you, and the grandchildren.
Yeah.
When we come back from Florida, we didn't know you had to isolate and all that type of stuff. And I invited all my grandchildren down, and we just finished touring and probably playing to 50,000 people, shaking hands and patting backs and all this type of stuff. And I said to Sylvia on the 28th of February, I said, something's coming down and we got to get out of here. And then we went to the airport in Tampa, and we had spent 12 hours there, and then we flew to New York and spent a couple more hours there, and then flew home and invited everybody down. So it was pretty scary, but they had us scared to death, really. I don't know, there's 58 people who died in Nova Scotia, all in one building, in an old people's home in Halifax. There's only 6 actual cases that have died outside of that.
Yeah.
It could have been a big to-do for nothing, but if you're compromised and you got diabetes or you got something wrong with you and you get this thing, it's not good.
It's a beast. Yeah.
Do you have people down there that are are in denial, who are saying, there isn't anything going on. This is all, it's a conspiracy. That
Not many. I haven't seen many. You know, I mean, you've seen the odd guy come out through a window, right?
Oh God.
You don't see. People are pretty common sense down here, and we're not. You haven't got the population as you do in Ontario, Quebec, and other places. You know, like and me living out here along the ocean, there's only probably 25 houses in my whole area. So, and everybody knows anybody, and everybody knows where you've been or where you're going. Where in the subdivision in Toronto, where there's 100,000 people or something like that. And I don't know what's going to happen in the States because there's a place called the Villages in Orlando. Have you ever been there?
no.
It's a village, and there's 130,000 people between 80 to 100 years old live there. It's a retirement home.
Wow.
And if this ever gets in there, it's going to be catastrophic, right?
It's gonna be horrible. Yeah. You're
You
right.
know, it's funny you're saying that you have very few cases, if any. Right now, you have no cases. I was reading a report just recently where we're now, in Ontario, we're just starting to see a little bit of an uptick.
Yeah.
Really well, and it started going up a little bit. Now there's an element that is screaming bloody murder about shutting it all down again. And what's happening now, as opposed to the first time it happened in March, people outside of the GTA who might think the East Coast have zero cases. I think, well, what the hell? You want to shut it down, shut yourself down, but don't ask us to shut down. My question to you, being way out there in the East Coast and sort of in your own bubble, do you ever get feelings like that, saying, hey, you know what, we're perfectly fine here. As long as we just keep it away from us, we're good.
That's right. But a lot of the people sneaking in, and the people flying in, and it's $1,000 fine if they catch you.
Right.
If you don't isolate for 14 days. Or it could be worse, right? I know a friend of mine came back in March, and he didn't self-isolate, and somebody called the police. And the police came down, and he was working out in his garage with two other fellows, and fined them all $1,000 a piece. And said, well, we're going to keep an eye on you, but if we catch you again, it's going to be $20,000.
Right.
So they just caught 3 students yesterday, apparently, that didn't self-isolate in the university here. And they got fined $1,000 a piece.
Deanna Sanders just wrote in, I'm assuming she got this from the local news, 213 cases today. The most in a day. First time we broke 200 in a long time. And I'm gonna suggest that we look into that, because I'll bet you the majority of them are from the GTA and Peel. There's 3 areas that are problematic right now, whereas the rest of the province is doing fine, right?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's been hard on the children too. Like when I was up to visit my grandchildren the other day at the farm, and I'm so blessed that they're on the farm, because they get their horses and their cows and their chickens, and they go riding and all this type of stuff, right? And my brother come over, my stupid brother, come over for dinner.
Yeah.
And the 5-year-old kept staring at his face, when he was eating, kept staring at his face. But finally he said to her, why are you staring at my face so much? Well, she said, Mommy says you drink like a fish, and I want to see how you do it.
That's probably a true story.
I'll tell you a true story. I went to see this elderly lady. I took the 3-year-old with me, and she had the flu, and she was in bed. She had her top and bottom teeth open in the glass beside the bed. Her 3-year-old looked at the teeth and looked at the teeth, looked at the teeth, never said nothing. And when we were leaving, she took him by the hand and says, Grampy, the tooth fairy's going to have a tough time with that one.
Randy K has got a message there we need to put up on screen. Says he just missed half the program to sign in to this program because I want a Jimmy Flynn hat with Fishing Canada logo on either side. Whoa.
Oh,
Whoa. That would be worth $1 million, Randy.
that's right. Well, $500,000. We don't want to beat Randy up too bad.
That would be a good little special edition, eh? Maybe we'll make that happen one day. That might be cool.
It's no big thing. Like all entertainers have a specialty, right? Their own little niche that they kind of service. In your case, you go tour around the U.S. and Canada and deal a lot with retired folks or people who are, in the back half of their life.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, I remember, and I only because I was a big fan of his, Tom Jones. God bless him, Tom Jones. I remember his big thing was, women would throw panties up on stage.
Yes.
Came on. What do they do for you at retirement homes? Well, how do women react to you up there?
Well, not so much the women. I get men's underwear in the face.
Is there anything wrong with that?
Oh, good.
You can go on YouTube. There's a show called The Fisher Musicians that we did 58 episodes, and there was an elderly man who was dying in Bathurst, and he was a big fan of mine. He wanted to meet me before he passed, right? So we could bust him through the door with the guitars and the cameras and the whole 9 yards, and you wouldn't believe. Now these people are all putting on like, and we got the guitars out, and they're up dancing and singing and jumping around. It's just energy, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the old people at home, they keep people sedated. I know my sister was in a care home in Vancouver, and I knew it was one flew over the cuckoo's nest when I got there, because I had her in a wheelchair and I'm wheeling her around, showing her stuff, right? And this guy came over and said, "Mister, that's a real nice dog you got there."
That bad.
I knew I was in trouble then, right?
You're in trouble.
Oh, real trouble. My sister was in a room with another woman, and she kept going all night long, like making funny noises. So I told my sister, "You got to get another room." I said, "You're not getting any sleep here." She said, "I can't leave here." She says, "Why?" She says, "She thinks she's my mother."
God.
Oh, crazy. Yes, old people come to my farm too. I had buffaloes come in there sometimes, and I had a pet deer here, Nellie, and a potbelly pig, and they were just as excited to see those animals as the children are. You know what I mean?
Really?
This whole look at that, look at this, and old people are this. Old people were young people, and they go back to being young people when they get old.
Yep.
Look at us.
Yeah. Yeah, look at us. You're absolutely right.
For sure.
I tell people, have all the fun you can, because we're only here for a short time, as you guys all know. And
You're right, buddy.
you got to laugh, and when this COVID-19 thing came on, when I came back and all my shows were canceled, I turned the little button in my head and I said, "This thing is not going to get Jimmy Flynn down.
Right.
It's not going to get me down." So
Yeah.
I called my daughter up and I told her what I did with the key in my head. Just turn it off and go on about, and stay safe and laugh and smile and be happy and just be a good person and have fun with your life, because there's so much going on in the world today. I get scared because there's so much on the news. Like watching the news. So I said to myself yesterday, because this brain of mine is an awful machine. I get a photographic memory and I remember everything you said to me and everything I see. And sometimes it's a curse, because I could tell you the news back word for word, the whole thing. And so you get to be a preacher once in a while, right? And I hate when I start doing that stuff and talking about all the politics and stuff like that. So I'm going to shut myself off from that now. I'm not going to talk about it anymore.
That's it.
No, you don't want to do that. Can't shut you down.
Politics, I mean, and all that type of stuff, right?
I'm curious. When you get together with your buddies, you go on a fishing trip with a handful of close friends and stuff. Do they want Jimmy Flynn, the entertainer, or are they happy with whoever Jimmy Flynn is as a non-entertainer, or do they demand it from you? Are you on stage 24/7 with your buddies and when you're out fishing?
No, yes, no, because the person you're looking at now and the Jimmy Flynn character is the same person. And that's what people have always endeared to me, because what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And when we go to the hunting camps, of course, the guitar will come out and, after supper, I always have a special joke for them, or something like that. Or we sit around the campfire, and we've had some wonderful, wonderful trips, and we're leaving again on the 25th of this month to go up. And I took my big Jimmy Flynn truck 25 miles back in the woods in this camp. Of course, all the other hunters see us. So sometimes we have 52 people there.
Wow, that's right.
They all drop in and we sit around the fire and tell some jokes, and it's nice. Everybody's got their stories too, and we share jokes. And I was over in PEI did a show at Stop and Tom Pond Center last weekend, and I went down with the boys to go tuna fishing. They wanted to go tuna fishing, but I couldn't go because of my anniversary next day. I had to come back. But I did a show from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and then did a show from 7 to 9 that night. So the boys came down and picked me up, and they took me back to their place and stuffed me full of lobsters, and it was really, really nice. People are wonderful. Sid and I, we've been married 52 years this year coming up.
Nice.
We lost our oldest boy to cancer 25 years ago. And in my son's passing, I learned that how nice people are, how kind people are. But when my son was sick, everybody tried to help us, and
Right.
everybody was so nice. So a lot of times I'll sing the dance for Seamus on stage. I'll tell him the story about how courageous he was and how he changed my life and changed everybody. People still remember him 25 years later. They only met him once, but he was quite a boy for 20 years old. He was a pilot, he was a diver, he played saxophone, he played piano, he played guitar. And just when he was 20, he started realizing who I was. And, how much he could help me. He was a great cinematographer. He left me a treasure of videos and we did together since he was a baby, right? It was wonderful.
Wow.
I have to ask you this question. A lot of comedians, and now that you just, so eloquently set that scenario for us, a lot of comedians use their comedy as a front to keep people at bay and keep them from really knowing who they are.
Yes.
That's not the case with you, is it?
No. I always try to leave everybody with a laugh. I told him I got stopped by the police the other day, and the policeman came up to the window and I rolled it down. He said, "Sir, do you have any idea why I pulled you over?" And I said, "Officer, if you can't remember, I'm not telling you."
I think I think with Jimmy, it's a typical. We say, Ant and I say it all time and time and time again, is that East Coast person is a different person than anybody else in this world, not just in Canada, but in this world. And that Jimmy, you just have a good rapport of jokes on top of that great personality, so that just adds to it. But every East Coaster loves to laugh. They love to have a good time. They love to laugh. And they love to help people. Like your son, you said there, like that. It's just a great attitude that you don't get in too many places. So it goes hand in hand with Jimmy's gig and personality and everything, right? So.
Yeah, my dad actually gave me my gift for gab. My dad was a great storyteller. He was all the time telling stories, and my dad's favorite quote was, "No sense figuring out a good story with the truth."
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'd be driving to work, and a bus hit a car, and 2 people were killed or something like that. But by the time we got to work, the bus hit a truck, and the bus and this, and there was 20 people dead. And I should be standing there listening to my dad telling the story. And I said, "Dad, that didn't happen." There's only 2 people. And he always said, "Well, no sense picking up a good story with the truth." Right?
Yeah.
That is true.
I got stopped by the cops a couple of weeks ago, and he come up to the window of the car, and he had a dog with him. And he said, "My dog is telling me that you're stoned on marijuana." I said, "I'm stoned on marijuana." I said, "You're the one talking to the dog."
Speaking of marijuana, let me ask you that question. How did you feel when we became one of the few countries that legalized marijuana and the use of marijuana?
Marijuana is I know what a history of marijuana. We're back 25 years. I remember back in the 70s, the first time I ever smoked marijuana. I didn't know what I was doing. I was on cocaine at the time.
Yeah.
Hemp oil and byproduct of marijuana is very powerful medicine for human beings. A lot of formats, takes a lot of pain away. And 25 years ago, I was sitting in the guy's house that started making hemp oil and giving it to people with cancer because it cures cancer, right? And there were 5 people in the room at that time at that house, and they were all chemoed to death in the home run yards, and they started taking Rick Simpson's hemp oil, and it's on phoenixtears.ca for anybody that's interested in looking at it. Phoenixtears.ca, and he cured them all of cancer, and this is a true story. So he figured he could expose this to to the Legion, because all the Legion members were old and dying of cancer in the whole 9 yards. So he did. And as soon as he did, the RCMP were on top of him, bang, right? So I dragged him into court, and he wasn't allowed to bring any of these people that he cured with him into the courtroom. And the judge said, "This is the strangest thing I've ever had to do. You got a man standing in front of me that's making hemp oil and giving it to people for free and curing them of cancer, and you want me to put him in jail."
Wow. Yes. How true is that? Right. I mean,
That's true. I'm sitting here. I was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's 25 years ago.
Yeah.
But another friend of mine had cancer up, and they always call me like, "You got to get the real good stuff, like extensive hemp oil." And the reason he discovered that he beat his hands all up, and when he started making the hemp oil, the doctor said his hands will never be the same for months and months and months because they're burned or something, whatever it was, right? And 2 weeks later, his skin was clear, and that's how he discovered that what he do for you, right?
Wow.
That's crazy. It's
I
crazy.
had a doctor the other day phone me up and asked me where he get some. He had a spot in his face, and he put hemp oil on it, and make it go away. He didn't want to go and get radiation chemo and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. That all those years, it was not only illegal, but man, it was like major illegal. Right? So,
Bad.
You know who did that? It was Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon, the drug companies had him in the pocket. So he told all the scientists that run on the dole, "You go out and find bad things about marijuana.
mhm.
And don't come back here with anything." And they all come back positive.
Mhm.
A lot of them lost their grants and all that stuff, right? The whole 9 yards. And that's made it look bad. 9 yards.
How much does politics affect your comedy, or does it, or do you stay away from that as a rule?
I told him the other day that Donald Trump almost got assassinated the other day. Guy pulled out a gun and he was just going to shoot, and one of the security guards hollered, "Mickey Mouse!" And Buddy turned around and the cops jumped him and got him. So the chief of police said to him, "Why did you holler Mickey Mouse?" He said, "I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say Donald Duck."
You must have a Justin Trudeau joke. Do you have any Justin Trudeau jokes? You got to have one for us. Come on. He is quite a joke himself. So you got to.
No, I don't get into politics. When John Trenchard was prime minister, he was pretty good. He was the only prime minister he ever had that couldn't blow the match. My second DVD was called Street Comedy, so most of my comedy comes from the street. People telling me jokes, and it's just fun, and it's just as much fun for me as it is for them.
Oh yeah, you can see
the other day, and the girl that hired me, she'd come up and she'd look what you did, and I looked down, her jeans were all wet. She peed her pants, right?
Whoa.
So I phoned up the Depends company and tried to get them to sponsor me. And when you come to my show, you get Depends.
Great. To try and get a sponsor. Why not? One of the things I was going to say, and I've probably been exposed to your comedy more than just about anybody else's, from a personal level. But it doesn't matter how many times you tell a joke. And I'll be honest with you, some of the stuff you've told me, joke-wise, you've given it to me 100 times.
Yes.
Every time that you deliver it, it's brand new to me.
Yes. My wife has seen my show 10,000 times, and she'll laugh harder every night than anybody in the place.
That's crazy. That is.
She says that all the time.
She's the same.
And it's just, I guess it's the way you tell them.
It's delivery. It's all about delivery. When you see Jimmy, like every joke he's told, he laughs almost harder at his own jokes than us. Well, that helps a lot in the delivery because he feels it's funny. It is funny. You know what I mean? So he's just reiterating it's funny. It's all about the delivery for sure.
I know. It's stories that, here's a great story for you. You don't get here very often. Back in Newfoundland one time, that lady's auxiliary, this woman wanted to have the lady auxiliary over to be 7 couples, 14 people, and she wanted to have steak and mushrooms. So she told her husband what she wanted to do. And she said, mushrooms are very expensive. I said, go pick some in the woods. There's lots of mushrooms in the woods. She said, I would, but I don't know which ones are the good ones, and some of them are poisoned. I always said, for God's sake, go pick some, cook them up tonight, give them to the dog. If the dog's alive in the morning, Bob's your uncle. So she did that. Dog had a big supper, steak and mushrooms. She made up a big feed. The 14 people come over. She even hired a woman to work in the kitchen with her. And they gorged themselves on steak and mushrooms. We're all sitting around drinking wine after supper, the whole 9 yards. The woman in the kitchen come out and said, Mrs. Smith, the dog's dead. The dog's dead. She phoned up the hospital. 7 ambulances pulled up out front, took each one of them people in the bathroom, gave them barium enema, pumped their stomachs out. We're all sitting around with white sheets, and then the woman came out of the kitchen again and said, and the man that ran over your dog with the truck didn't even stop.
God help us.
Yeah, you must have some fishing jokes for our audience. You got to have some fishing jokes for our people. We got so many people in here that are all fishing oriented. You got to have, or hunting. We'll take both. You got to have some.
We were walking down to the river one time, me and my buddy, and just when we got to the river, we seen a big black bear at the edge of the river. And just when we saw him, he saw us, and he came after us on a dead run. I threw my rod down, started taking my chest waders out with my sneakers on. He said, "You're not going to try to run that bear, are you?" I said, "No, all I got to do is outrun you."
You go fishing with your brother Frank very often?
Oh, no, not very often. He's been going through a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
He went to the bar. He goes to the bar for a bit. He said to this woman, he said, "Do you have sex with strangers?" She says, "No, I don't." He said, "Well, let me sit down and introduce myself."
He is a character for sure.
It's so funny, yeah.
Dana asked.
We were down to Cape Breton one night, him and I, and the guy came in the bar and he held his hand up like that. He said, "I got a 44 Magnum here with 6 shells in it. Which one of you guys is fooling around my wife?" And somebody hollered from the back of the bar, "You're going to need more ammunition than that."
Dana wants to know, Jimmy, do you cuss at all in your joke telling? Do you often cuss?
No, I've never swore on stage. I'm probably the only comedian in North America who doesn't swear on stage. And people thank me every night for making them laugh that hard and that long without being vulgar.
How do you feel about that, though? How do you feel about because there's some big name comedians, as you know, they've made their entire career is based on coming out on stage and shocking people with language.
I don't get it. You know, I don't like it, and I don't know. I just never had to do that to make people laugh, and and I do so many different shows. I could do a children's concert in the morning and do a convention in the afternoon, and I could curl your hair. I could curl your hair, but there's no cursing and swearing. But you know that type of joke. You know what I mean? I will curl your hair. Comedy, right?
That almost makes you unique, if you think about it. That almost makes you unique in that you don't, because I think pretty much everybody else that is a high-profile comedian, certainly live entertainers, cussing is part of their act, right? It's all part of the deal.
No, I've never done that, and I don't know. I've always said to myself, I don't understand why I have to go that far. There was some comedians I knew when every second word was. After a while, it's just you know, it's not that funny.
I get that quite often when my friends, they say, "How the hell do I do a TV show without swearing?" Because they know what I talk like off the TV. It's impossible. How can you do that? Oh, God. Anyway.
I think we should do some, I think we should have a lightning round with Jimmy. What do you think, Petey?
Sure.
What's that?
Jimmy just asked you what that was.
Right. So explain.
The lightning round, Jimmy, is just Ange and I are going to fire some questions, some lightning fire questions at you. We want a very quick, one word if you have an answer, or a very quick answer. They're just fun questions, or just simple questions. When just your first thing that comes to your mind, quick and honest, one word if you got it, okay?
Just before you start that, my brother went down to a big game show like this.
Yes.
A big game show on the stage, my brother did.
Yeah.
With $100,000. So he says, for $100,000, Old McDonald had a what? And my brother said, farm. He said, second part of the question, for $100,000, spell farm. My brother said, E-I-E-I-O.
Okay, that was a classic. Oh my god.
Okay, let's try this. Where the heck to go?
Oh my god. That is so good. You want to start, Andy? You want me to start?
Go ahead, Peter. I didn't. By the way, I threw it out there just because I think it'd be cool to have lightning around with Jimmy, but I hadn't written anything up yet, so I'm going on the fly here.
Okay, so Jimmy Flynn, would you rather catch a 10-pound codfish or a 10-pound smallmouth bass?
10-pound smallmouth bass.
Ooh.
Oh, hey, he tasted that with us that day.
You hook him, he can straight up, right?
Right.
Well, hang on, I got to ask you then. What's the biggest smallmouth bass you've ever caught?
Probably 6 pounds. 6.5 pounds.
You know what? That's why he said smallmouth, because a 6-pound smallmouth fights good, right?
Yeah, oh, they do, yes.
Good for you.
It's like a fresh salmon. The coast, we did a show on the Gray River. You guys should think about going there sometime in Newfoundland. It's only 7 miles from the coast. Right. And they're not big salmon, but between 6 and 9 pounds. But they're silver. And they're fresh right out of the water.
Yeah.
You get about 7 or 8 big jumps out of one fish. It's incredible.
Oh, man. That would be perfect. I like that. Yeah, for sure. Excellent. Okay. Jimmy Flynn, who is your favorite comedian in this world?
I like Robin Williams. I enjoyed his comedy. The shows that he did, and it was probably one of my favorites. But a lot of my comedy comes from Ireland. In Ireland, my people came from there in Newfoundland in 1824, actually.
Right.
I went to Ireland last year. People got a neat sense of humor over there, too. I said to a guy, "You tell me where the liquor store is, sir." He said, "Yes, I can." He said, "Go down to the corner, turn right. When you get to the next corner, turn right. When you get to the next corner, turn right. When you get to the next corner, turn right again." I said, "If I did that, I'd be standing right here." He said, "That's what I'm trying to tell you. Liquor store is right across the street."
Okay, another one. If you had to, let's say, like, I know you live in Nova Scotia now, so we'll say leave Nova Scotia out when you were in Newfoundland. If you had to leave Newfoundland, Nova Scotia omitted now, what province would you move to? You had to leave. Where would you move?
British Columbia.
Ooh, nice.
And I spent 8 years out there back in the 70s, right? I did a lot of hunting and fishing in the Rocky Mountains and fishing the Fraser River.
Yeah.
I had a boat in Vancouver, and I was playing at night and fishing all day. It was a wonderful life.
Okay.
I got a job building the boathouses down behind the Bayshore Inn, so I put my crab trap down over the side. So cheap, I catch so many crabs I couldn't pull the trap up. It was incredible. So I just loved it there, but it's probably changed now. There's so many people living there, right?
It depends on where. Still got a lot of pristine land out there for sure.
And I can remember sitting on top of the Rocky Mountains and seeing snow-capped mountains as far as I could see hunting.
Oh, yeah.
What a place to be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of shows out there.
So let me ask you a couple myself here. Then Pete, you can continue.
Yep.
You can only do one of these. You can only do one of these for the rest of your life. Would you rather fish or hunt?
Now, fish. Only because I've hunted all over the world, right? And I've had my own television shows, hunting, fishing, and had my own hunting camps and fishing camps in Labrador over my lifetime. But now I'd rather take a picture of them and shoot them.
Yeah.
And when I catch a fish, I'd rather let them go.
Yeah.
So when you pull the trigger, it's all over.
Yeah.
You take the hook out, you can let them go.
True.
That's so true. Well done.
Wow.
Okay, so present company excluded. Okay. If you had the power to make this happen, who would you like to spend a day on a boat with fishing? And you can have both living or dead, past, present. You can just pick somebody. Who would that somebody be that you would love to spend a day on the boat with?
Don't tell the wife, but Lady Gaga.
No, he didn't say that. Okay. Lady Gaga. Very interesting. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
In one of her crazy outfits. That's even better, right?
Somebody sent me a picture of a tree the other day, and they said, "What is this?" And somebody said, "It's Lady Gaga's dress."
That's,
It was a great big bush, right?
that's so true.
Pick one of these. First one that comes to mind. Favorite entertainer? Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash.
It's a flip up. I love them both very dearly.
I know.
I don't know. I kind of, I don't know. I'd split it right down the middle between the two of them. They,
Wow.
You got him.
yeah,
You got him.
Cool.
yeah,
Cool.
who's going to replace those people? You know what I mean? Like,
Nobody.
no,
Well, you know, and I want to just go to that for a moment. I don't mean to interrupt the lightning round, Pete, but you know, one of the things that's so endearing about you is, and people forget this, that I mean, they look at you as the comedian, but there is another part of you that, yes, you do it in your comedy act, and yes, you have a guitar in your lap right now just to come and do this show. People don't realize that you are a very accomplished musical entertainer as well, and you have this incredible ability to tell stories through songs and accompany yourself with guitars and all of that. My question to you, did you ever have a point in your career, early in your career, where you had to make a choice between, you know, zigging and zagging? And if so, do you recall what that was like?
how I started. I bought a new car when I was 17, 18, and my dad had moved us up to Cape Breton. And me and my buddy drove to Vancouver because my sister had worked in the plant out there. And anyway, long story short, I worked in the plant for 5 years. And after 5 years, you're supposed to get 3 weeks vacation. And the new boss came in from the States and said, "You got to wait a whole extra year because of one day." I started on July 1st and it would cut off in June the 30th. It broke my heart, really. So I called the wife up and she said, "Quit." Anyway, I quit. And they lost 126 years of employees after I left because I was the only thing keeping everybody laughing and going and having fun and you know, all on yards. But what he did to me, and I'm going to tell you people out there that are watching this show, sometimes when something bad happens to you, it could be the best thing that ever happened to you. And so when I got my first album out, I went back to see that man and I gave him my album. And I said, "I want to thank you for being the big SOB I ever met in my life. But I want to thank you for being that because you made this now."
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Nice story, man.
That's an
Yeah.
awesome story. I love that.
Yeah, well, the guy across the street from me, and actually just before that, he came out all dressed up in an Irish fellow, good looking fellow, getting a taxi cab and the way to go with a guitar. And I said, "Where the heck are you going?" So I got my car and I followed him to where he was playing. And you're playing in a big barn, whole 9 yards, and he wasn't, you know, as good as I thought that you should be as an entertainer. I said, I think I could do better than that, right? Anyway, I got my hair cut and I went looking for a job, and a place called Medieval Inn hired me in Vancouver. And I was down at 10 o'clock in the morning and I sang a few songs and that. And he said, "Okay, thank you very much." And we left. And my wife said, "If he doesn't hire you, he's crazy." And the next morning they hired me. And I was there for a year, and then I played all over Gastown. And we formed a group called Finnegan, and we come down to the Maritimes. We terrorized the Maritimes for 10 years. And it's just been, and then hunting and fishing came in, and this character came in.
Yeah.
And telling jokes and stories, and it all kind of molded together. My partner in Finnegan was Peter Stoney, was a great musician. He played fiddle and guitar and banjo and piano, and he was the musician part of it. And I played too, of course, but I was the mouthpiece. And you know, he was the yes man. I go, two fellows who walked on our street. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It was wonderful. We had a wonderful career doing that. And the thing about back then, in the 70s and 80s, whatever we talked about, we went and did. Like, let's bring some sheep in the show tonight, see what happens. Whatever we said to people, they went. We actually took up 75 people from the lounge one time and all jumped in the swimming pool in the middle of the show. The hotel.
Wow.
Yeah. And we usually get to do a thing called Milk for New Year's. We get everybody tied up in toilet paper.
Yeah, that's funny.
New Year's, I like that.
So the
So,
stuff we did was a lot of memories, right? And
so
we never did nothing to hurt people. You know, we drive around St. John, New Brunswick with gorilla heads on the car. We'll pull up in front of the bus stop. You know, we're the bus in disguise. And we said CBC across my forehead, and I had a banana with a curly cord in it, and we went around interviewing people.
Oh my God.
People be talking to a banana, right?
funny.
Ah. Oh my God.
I've got one more on my list here for you. In your opinion, who is the worst famous comedian?
Worst famous comedian. I'll have to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Because I asked that question just for laughs. Who was the worst personality comedian you ever had on here? Who do you think it was?
Whoa.
Jerry Lewis.
You know what? I've heard that before. That's not the first time I've heard that.
He wasn't a very nice man. He wasn't a very nice man. He had 7 children and never left him a cent.
Isn't that something? And yet we all see him as this philanthropist, charity, and doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what happened, see, when he broke up with Dean Martin, he is trying to prove to the world that he was something, right?
Right.
And he forgot his family, he forgot everything. He just became jumping, that character, right?
Yeah.
And he really lost himself.
Wow.
Wow.
To have a family, he left about $7 million or $70 million, and never left nothing to the kids. Gave it all to the
Oh,
next week.
Oh,
Crazy. That's the guy. I asked that question just for laughs, and that was the story.
interesting.
He got there, and it's all attitude, right?
Yep.
And I'm in conversation with people about just when people get to be big stars. I started writing a song one time when your head gets bigger than your heart. You know what I mean?
True.
So if they get to the air or they're going on tour, and I'm the promoter, I said, "Here's your 10 million. I'm going to make 20 million." Okay, but you got your 10 million, so they don't care if anybody shows up.
Yeah.
When I did the show with Johnny Cash at P&E in Toronto, he wouldn't come out and sign autographs. All these people standing outside, and I couldn't figure it out, right? And I did another show in Ontario, outside of Ottawa, Big Jam Green. We had this conversation backstage, and he asked me that question: who and what and why are people like that? Because people come in, they're all attitude, right? It's all me.
Yep.
And when he met me, he said, "You're so different from the rest of them. There's no demand, there's no nothing. I know you're going to do your best to set it up for me and do my sound for me and do anything. But then I'm going to do my job and really get the job done.
Yep.
There's no other teaching, nothing, right? I think when your head gets bigger than your heart, it's in trouble."
It's
Well
interesting.
said. Well said. I got one last one for him, Ange, and you almost stole my question. But it's funny because it was one little wee bit of it. So, if Jimmy Flynn had to give up one of the following for the rest of his life,
Ooh.
would it be fishing or sex?
Hmm.
Well, I'm going to tell you a little story about Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was on stage, and the guy passed my notes, and "Mr. Churchill, your file's open." And he wrote a note back, and he gave it to him. He said, "Dead birds don't fall out of the nest."
Boy. Good answer. Good answer.
That answer, Jimmy's going to stay fishing, everybody. Just to make it awesome.
Let's end this lightning round with a big political bang. I think you've already been speaking to it, anyways. Donald Trump or Justin Trudeau?
I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you.
Tell me something.
I don't know. Donald Trump scares me.
Yeah.
He's scary, I don't know how he could tell lies all the time and go on like that because years ago when I saw politicians, they said one line, one word, one thing out of context, and you're out.
Right.
And any other job you ever had, if you made mistake after mistake and mistake and mistake, and you're gone. You don't get a second chance. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't know. We're in trouble everywhere. I think with politics and what's going on in the world. There's a bigger scenario going on than what we think is really, really happening. I think control is going to be a big thing. And it showed a picture the other day of all these pigs in pens. There'd be 5 pigs in each pen, right? And as far as you can see. And it showed a concert today with 5 people in each pen, as far as you can see.
Yeah.
So, being pushed away, and then psychologically, it's having a lot of big problems with children in the States apparently because it's happening. A psychiatrist on the other day, and he was talking with the children, and the father said to his son, "Daddy, let's go to the beach," and the middle fellow said, "We can't go there, Daddy." He said, "Why?" He said, "Because there's people there."
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a beach is for, right? Yeah.
But I don't know. Something happens to people when they get into politics. I mean, it's like the politician goes into the bar and he meets this woman. He says, "I'm a politician and I'm an honest man." And she says, "I'm a prostitute and I'm a virgin."
Good comparison.
My granddaughter said to me, "Grampy, do all fairy tales begin with once upon a time?" I said, "No, dear. Some begin with if I get elected."
Who's dumber, your brother or Trump?
Oh, my brother would have to take top choice now.
Give us one more good brother joke. You got to give us one more. One of them.
Let me see.
God.
Got
A million. Here we go.
My dad's 92 years old, and he went to the doctor the other day, and the doctor told him, "You can go anytime." And my dad said, "That's great. I haven't gone in 5 days."
Okay.
Oh, God.
Have you got a guitar with you?
Yes, downstairs.
Oh, I was gonna say, well, I was gonna say,
I could probably take this down.
I think that you can play us out. How's that, Jimmy? You can play us out.
Jimmy is an accomplished. Everybody out east is an accomplished musician. It's crazy, and Jimmy is one of those people that just probably had a guitar when he was 5 years old and started clanging it and with the whole family. And what he said was his buddy plays banjo, fiddle, and everything else. This is what they all do out there. It's crazy how talented they are and good at each of the instruments too. And they're just so good at it. Yeah,
Crazy
about that. Playing
any given time when you're traveling through the east and I'll say especially Newfoundland, but Nova Scotia, New Brunswick's no different. But in Newfoundland, it really hits the pinnacle. Anytime you're traveling and you meet somebody, a musical interlude is going to break out. Guaranteed.
Out there, absolutely. There's a comment. Neil has a comment. How much of an influence were people like Nestor Pister in your career? That was going to be to Jimmy. I don't know. Do you ever remember, Jimmy? This question right here. How much of an influence were people like Nestor Pister in your career? Remember Nestor? You know Nestor for sure.
Of course.
Yes, yeah. He's from the West, wasn't he?
I think so. I think so.
I don't know much about him, but I've heard about him.
Oh, okay. I would have played that for sure. He was a funny guy, man. I heard my dad got onto the Nestor Pister thing, and I think it was Ukrainian or say half Ukrainian or something like that. And oh my God, thank you, Neil, for mentioning that. People, if you're another one,
Nestor Pister was from the prairies.
Yes, he was. That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, he was fun. There was some funny stuff there. So that's a good
lot of Ukrainian stuff he did.
Yeah, all kinds of Ukrainian jokes.
Oh yeah.
Was he not the originator of that Mikey and Petey, Ukrainian brothers from out west, and they would get into all kinds of trouble and stuff? I think
it was Nestor Pister or not for that one.
No Harris. He was an Australian guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, play us a little something.
A lot of people. I'll do a Nova Scotia song for you.
Perfect.
Farewell to Nova Scotia, you see, down the coast, but you're bound to start and dreary be. Oh, when I'm far away on the sunny ocean top, will you ever heave a sigh or a wish for me? Oh, I grieve to leave my native land, I grieve to leave my comrades all, and my parents whom I love so well, and that bonny, bonny lassie that I do adore. So farewell to Nova Scotia, you see, down home, but you're bound to start and drear I be. Oh, when I'm far away on the funny ocean top, will you ever heave a sigh or a wish? One more time, every hand clapping. Farewell to Nova Scotia, you see, down home, but you're bound to start and drear I be. Oh, when I'm far away on the funny ocean top, will you ever heave a sigh or a wish for me? Will you ever heave a sigh or a wish for me?
Who the hell is
show you guys this. I've been making these things for a week. You ever see something like this? Can you see this? Oh no, where is it?
What do you got?
You know what that is?
No.
It's a quarter pounder.
What? Quarter pounder. A quarter pounder.
Jimmy Flynn, you are the man, my friend.
Oh, buddy.
I urge all of you that are joining us here today to check him out. JimmyFlynn.com apparently is his website. I made it sound like it was an elaborate big deal. JimmyFlynn.com. You can check it out. He's got apparel. He's got DVDs. He's got discs. He's got what's that? What's that picture? What's that picture there? Put it up a little higher.
Oh, look at that.
Baby.
Dragons, the two salmon. Nice.
Wow.
Very nice, buddy.
Nice.
Very nice.
And you can pick my stuff there on the YouTube on the website too, on my CDs and DVDs. And if you know somebody is sick or somebody that's not feeling well, pick one up, because laughter is probably the most healing thing we do when we don't laugh.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And Jimmy, we have
to show you that big bass I caught. I got him up on the wall here. I caught that guy up there. See him?
Where is he, Jimmy?
Oh, higher. Go a little higher, Jimmy. There he is.
Nice back end, Jimmy.
Right there. Got him down in Acapulco.
Nice. So, Jimmy, can we expect to?
Big salmon that's on the boat up there.
We got to. Well, he's looking. He's moving around. What the hell are you doing now? Oh,
yeah, I'll show you that big fish.
Look at them all.
Hey, Andy, before we let you go, looking through some of your shows, which one should you consider? Where are you?
I'm right here.
Which one of your shows would you consider your funniest to watch? Somebody wants to know that.
Oh, Street Comedy 1 is 90 minutes long. It's some of my first work. It's pretty funny stuff. Street Comedy 2 is a great CD too, and I got another one called Camp Comedy. We're down in my camp. I met a lot of crazy people over my career, and people to meet in the road and the whole 9 yards. So I flew a bunch of them down here one time and went down to my camp, and we created a thing called Camp Comedy.
Wow.
And the guy said to me, I wrote a song called Camp Comedy. And when we got there, the guy with the television crew said, "Where's the script?" I said, "No script." He said, "I guess you to show us our script." I said, "Well, we're going to light a fire here. We're going to light the camp up like it's a moonlit night. And camera on one guy telling a joke, and camera on one guy, and the other guy's laughing." So we cut back and forth. And that was it. I don't think there was only one time we edited once. One guy hyperventilated laughing and fell off the log. We had to stop the show for a minute. But other than that, it
Why don't I find that hard to believe, man?
Yeah.
You're a national treasure, my friend. You're an absolute treat to have on the program. We so much appreciate you joining us, and I know everybody else that's here today feels exactly the same way.
We would love to get him on the Fishing Canada show again too, Jimmy. Next year, when all this COVID stuff stops, we'll get you back out and put
I'd
another.
love to do that for you. That'll be too late. Such a great time the last time we were together, man. We caught some fish that day.
That was
And
fun.
we were the lake folks at the Armed Forces base outside of Toronto somewhere.
Beeford.
Lake, and you have to be in the Armed Forces to fish there.
Yeah.
They got us in and we fished. It was nice.
It was good.
Wonderful people.
This time we'll do it in your neighborhood, my friend. We'll come down and visit you.
Yeah.
And
I'd love to have you down. It'd be a great time. We could do some shark fishing too, probably over here.
Oh,
do you know what would be great, Jimmy? And I'm just throwing this out there for you guys, both you guys. Wouldn't it be great to do a Jimmy Flynn Fishing Canada tour of Newfoundland?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be something else?
That'd be something, yes. Well, we actually did shows like that years ago. We'd get 1,000 people a night come to the shows. You know, you two characters, you're famous in your own world fishing and all across Canada, and you could talk about fishing, and I'd do the comedy, right? So it'd be a wonderful night. Sponsored by a brewery. When you come, you get a free hat and a free beer. And
nice. Done.
I did. Sign me up, Coach. Jimmy, say hi to Sylvia for us. Thank you very much for joining. You have yourself a wonderful day and get through this pandemic. And as soon as we get to the other side, we'll hook up for sure, my friend.
Okay, stay safe, you guys, and God bless you, buddies. And
Thank you.
See you, buddy.
Take care. Wow.
You knew he was going to be on fire for the whole thing, right? I was glad to see he had a couple of slower moments where he talked serious and all that, which was great. Shows the real Jimmy Flynn, but the real Jimmy Flynn is a jokester too, right? He's a great personality.
The day that we shot the Fishing Canada episode, what impressed me more than anything else about Jimmy, and I'd worked with him before, but not under these particular conditions. What impressed me most about Jimmy is that we spent 14 hours on a boat shooting a Fishing Canada episode. And then we went directly from that to the commissary of this military base where 300 soldiers and in some cases their spouses were on location. The headliner for that show was Jimmy Flynn. What impressed me that most out of that was that he went from the 14 hours on the boat of nonstop Jimmy Flynn on camera with us to 3 hours of probably the best live entertainment that I've ever been a part of.
Mm-hmm.
That's what impressed me the most about him.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be able to do that, when he's on tour and all he does is the live show and then he sleeps and eats and whatever he does during it. But that day he didn't have that luxury.
No.
Went from that
a couple of beers beforehand and then give her again, right? That was it. Yeah, for sure.
Seriously though, Pete, could you imagine shooting in Newfoundland with Jimmy?
Oh man, I think it'd be a blast. It would be an absolute hoot. It would be, it'd be good. I like that.
You got to do it before we hang it up. We have to, whether it's in 2021 or whenever the next phase of this
window. Yeah. Yep.
There's dues, and that is, and we throw in General Rick Hillier.
He can come up for sure.
Would be insane.
Sure. I'm sure we can get a few people out there. We might as well bring our old buddy Joe too. Joe Anthony out. Well, yeah,
oh my God, Joe!
We'll have some fun.
These are all Easterners that we've had the pleasure of meeting throughout our careers, and I know I keep harping this. I know you folks out west are probably pissed at me, but there is something. Don't take this the wrong way, but there is something about Newfoundlanders and East Coasters that I don't know how to describe it. You can't put words on it.
The Western people would realize what you're saying if they traveled to the East and met them. Let's just say that. That's what it takes. You have to go through the communities out there and get a real feel for the personality of these people. And they're all the same. They're all genuine. They're all happy. And it's just a whole different world out there. It really is, honestly. It's that good. So
Not that there's anything wrong with Western Canada. They're good too. Good people. All right, let's get to some questions and answers, and we'll get this show on the road, as they say. By the way, Calvin says, get you some of that screech while you're down there. No kidding. Be careful.
Excuse me. Yeah, if we have any questions, we went through a bunch of them earlier, right? So we probably don't have a whole lot of. Maybe we can get a couple more in there, and then we can probably call it, buddy. I would think, right?
I want to remind folks, we are in month 11 on the 9th or the 2.5 Mercury giveaway. We have, I guess, 3 left. We're on month 9. I'm sorry. We have 3 left to go, and then she's all over but the crying. So if you haven't won one yet, dig in. See, when the going gets tough, you got to dig in and make sure you get your ballots in there every single day, and make sure you claim one of those 3 that are left. And then, of course, we've got the big draw coming up in December for the Princecraft boat, 14-foot Yukon with a 20 Mercury motor and a custom trailer.
What a sweet package that is.
Oh my God. And all you have to do, same thing, go to fishingcanada.com. It's free of charge. Yeah, it's a little annoying sometimes having to go back every day, but it's free. And as you've been witnessing the last 18 months, every month there is a winner. Every month, one of you guys and girls wins. And we've had 2 female winners, by the way, just so that you know. But every month, one of you wins. So if you haven't won yet, and you've been there from day one, do not get discouraged. Think of it this way. We're heading into overtime, and you put up a battle for the first 3 periods. Now's not the time to get discouraged. Now's when you pull up your socks and say, I'm going to win this thing. So
good point.
Get often. Get in there often for sure.
Scott Spears is a beauty boat, the Princecraft Yukon. He likes it. There's a good one from Calvin. Check that out.
Consider all fish breathe through their gills. Where does the air come from to fill their swim bladders? Whoa.
Well, let's see now. You see now, there's maybe Calvin already knows this somehow. I got a feeling that he does.
I'm going to assume that they're gulping. Well, no, it's air. Whoa.
Well, they're pulling oxygen in from the water, right? That's
through their gills, though, Pete.
Right, but there's oxygen, which is air somehow. So somehow it's going through their gills. So who says that doesn't get in the stream and go into and there's always a certain amount in the bladder that they can control little bits of it. Maybe they can expel it to sink and then absorb a little bit more. I mean, I don't know how a fish works, but I mean, in order for them to control their suspendability, they have to expel some air out to lower themselves down. They have to pick up some from plants. Slugbug 55 says from plants.
Yes, Slugbug from plants. There you go, Calvin.
Look at Slugbug's picture. I think he's had a few plants in his day. He's dealt with plants before too. That picture, I like that picture, brother.
There's a guy wearing a yellow sou'wester on camera. Yeah. Okay. All right. Calvin, what is the answer? Please enlighten us, my friend. Come on, buddy. You can do it. Come up with something witty. I think the oxygen is what is drawn in and it's stored and it's not air, it's oxygen.
Yeah. I think so.
That's what I'm going to suggest, and we'll see.
If Calvin even knows, maybe Calvin doesn't. Maybe
Calvin knows everything.
True.
I'll tell you how impressive Calvin is. By the way, Calvin, here's and this is a feather in your hat. I had a call from Uncle Jack 2 days ago, and we were talking about various things. And Jack said, "Wow, that Calvin guy you got, man, is he ever good?" This was from Jack Summers. He does not throw compliments around very easily. So he thinks you're a genius. I said him straight.
He put his answer up there. Dissolved in their bloodstream.
Dissolved oxygen. I win. I said that. It's oxygen. Do I get anything?
Yeah. Kick in the arse with a wet boot. That's what my dad used to always say. Kick in the arse with a wet boot.
Scott says a swim bladder. Oh, he's got a whole is just an expandable sack.
Like a
To reduce its overall density, a fish fills the bladder with oxygen collected from the surrounding water via the gills. When the bladder is completely deflated, the fish has minimum volume and sinks to the ocean floor.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a scuba diver, the buoyancy compensator. Same thing.
Exactly.
Air goes in, air goes out. Simplicity.
What else we got? David Kelly says, you guys should autograph those hats and do a giveaway for them online or
Wow.
not a bad idea, except I think the only way we can make it more valuable is to have Jimmy sign them, and then we'll sign them. But before we do that, we have a couple of 1970, late 70 vintage overalls worn by Big Brother Reno and I in our first couple of years of tournament fishing that we're going to do something with. We haven't forgotten. They're coming. We'll do them first. And what I think don't quote me on this, what we're looking into is auctioning them off with 100% of the proceeds going to a charity that we're going to hook up with. And I'm 99.9% sure that it's going to be Camp Uchiguias, which is the cancer treatment camp for kids that has been running in conjunction with Sick Kids in Toronto for, I think, almost 2 decades. So we're just trying to put it all together. There's a lot of legalities that we have to get through. So we're going to do it live on this program. It'll be a live auction, not one of those silent auctions. It's going to be a live auction, and I think it's going to be really exciting. So stay tuned for that one. It's coming up in the next few weeks, as well. As you heard here on the program 2 weeks ago, David McLaughlin, owner of Lodge 88, has graciously donated a trip for 2 to the legendary Lodge 88 in Northern Ontario that we're going to give away to one of you coming up very soon. We are trying to see if we can sweeten the pot a little bit. And what I mean by that, we had Buck Martinez on the program that same week, and
same day, wasn't it?
Same day. And he expressed a real interest in joining the winners on that trip to Lodge 88. So we're thinking maybe we should make it a party and we go up there and shoot the episode. And I think what we're going to do with that one is we haven't decided yet. To be honest with you, we don't know whether we're going to do it as a charity auction or whether we're just going to do it as a giveaway. Although, even if we can raise $1 for a charity, I think it would be in all of our best interests to do so. So once again, we're just looking at the legalities and how we do it because we're not a not-for-profit charitable organization. So we may have to bring in a third party to do that, but we'll figure it out. No big deal. We're not going anywhere soon.
For sure. Well said.
Anyway, I think you should wear that hat out the next time you go out in public.
I might just wear it right out of here tonight.
Especially the way you got it now, sort of off to one side, and it's very stylish.
Type that in there.
Exactly. Very stylish.
Hello, mate. Hello, mateys. I wear that into the liquor store. We're in the liquor store. Hey, you got any screech here, by?
Yeah.
He's in that screech.
I want to remind folks, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It does help us tremendously.
It does.
And it enables us to continue doing this type of programming in future weeks, months, and who knows, maybe years to come. We need all of the subscribers that we can in order to boost our standing in those areas, and that in turn gives us the opportunity to continue broadcasting. Quite frankly, without you, we are not here. And for that, we need you to subscribe. It's one thing joining us each and every week. It's another thing giving us that vote of confidence by actually ticking off the box and saying, yes, I want to be a part of this. Of course I do. And that's what we need from you. And it's I know we harp on it, but there's a reason for it because it enables us to do what we are doing.
And you know what? A subscription is nothing. It's a click of a button, and then you would get it. If there's new videos that go up, you get a little notification. Then new videos up, etc. It's just we do it all the time. We get subscriptions, so I got a whole ton of them. You know what I mean? All kinds of fishing and photography and hunting and all that stuff. So it's pretty easy to do, and we'd appreciate it if you help us out for sure.
I'm looking on the side here, and I think a lot of you are saying overwhelmingly to us that charity would be a good way to go, and I'm delighted to hear that, because I think it would be an absolutely outstanding way to go. Especially, can you imagine if we could build that trip up? I know there's several lodge owners who have contacted us wanting to be a part of something like this. We may make this a lot bigger than it actually is, even at this particular moment.
That'd be nice.
If we bring in a charity partner that can be the benefactor of all of your generosity out there, I think it'd be fantastic. I think it would put us all on the map.
Yep.
So that's what we're going to shoot for. All right. Well, without further ado, unless there's any pressing questions, Michael, that we have not addressed that you feel that we need to bring up on the screen, by all means, you could do so now. Otherwise, as they say, forever hold your peace, or whatever they say on that.
Hairpiece. Forever speak now, or ever hold your hairpiece.
Yeah, mine's being held right now with the Jimmy Flynn. I think it should be signed by all three of us and auctioned off as well. So we will make that happen.
How about tomorrow's Fishing Canada show? What's on that?
That's a great question, buddy. I was hoping you'd know.
Well, I think I know, but I wondered if Mikey wanted to throw a preview in or not. You know what I mean? So
we'll do it after, maybe.
Yeah.
One of the problems most people have when they come to a body of water like Lac Seul is like, where do you start? The excitement of going to a lake like this is exploring. And it's just fun going into these back bays and not knowing, right? Trying to figure it out.
You could catch these all day. You'd be one happy customer at the lodge, wouldn't you?
There's nothing wrong with that northern right there. Hey?
Oh, get him in the net! Get him in the net! Yeah!
Yeah.
Just something real quick before we let you go. What's really fascinating about that episode, and what I particularly enjoyed about it, we've been to Lac Seul countless times, and it's an incredible body of water. I think it's like the third largest inland freshwater lake in Canada, if I'm not mistaken. I could be correct. It's certainly in the top 5, but it's a massive body of water, and it is I won't say inundated, but it has several operators and camps on its shores, and we've sampled many of them. But what was different about this particular trip is that we used a totally unconventional method of traveling, and that was boat. We actually went to an outpost camp that you normally fly to because it's so far. You fly to it from the bottom end of Lac Seul, and it's situated at the extreme far northern point of Lac Seul. They normally fly you in a float plane and drop you off at this remote camp, which is in itself is a great adventure. We decided to take FNC1. We dragged her all the way up there from here, and we decided that we would load her up with all of the provisions, all of the camera gear, all of the crew, and go for a wonderful boat ride. And
40 miles. It was 40-mile boat ride, one way.
40-mile boat ride, completely loaded to the gunnels with everything that we would require for a week. And it was, oh my God, it was just one of the best things that we've ever done. It was an extraordinary trip. And, I say that because sometimes getting to these places is the adventure. Catching fish and what happens on site is a bonus. Sometimes just getting there, far too often we forget about that part. We just want to be there. And so get us there as quickly as you can. What this did for us, it really highlighted the fact that the adventure sometimes is in the trip itself, the travel. And this episode, if you haven't seen it, is a must view for that reason. The fishing was insane, and we ate shore lunch for breakfast, lunch, and supper.
We got our shore lunch off our dock. Remember? We didn't keep any fish in the lake. We got them right off the end of the dock. Boom, 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 boom. Those Ange and Steve caught them. I filleted them up, and then the boys cooked them. It was like boom. We did it all within a 50-foot span.
Yeah. Talk about fresh, right? The lake into the frying pan.
That was, yeah.
That too. That's certainly a treat that Northern Ontario offers in abundance. I also want to mention, when we talk about Northern Ontario, I had an opportunity yesterday to spend a bit of time on the phone with a young lady friend of ours. She is the queen of Northern Ontario tourism. We've talked about her on the radio program for the number of years, Carol Caputo, out of Sault Ste. Marie. And her and I had a long chat regarding, the state of things up in Northern Ontario and the lodge owners and stuff, and how they're coping, and how they're making out, and who's going to be left and who's not going to be left, and whatnot. I just want to, remind everybody here, especially in other areas other than Northern Ontario, how important it is that those folks, and those folks that I'm talking about are the 1,600 operators, licensed operators in Northern Ontario, who have made a living from, in most cases, more than one or two generations for their family, and made a living from hosting all of us over the years, anglers, to their places. And how important it is that during these difficult times that we don't forget about them, because right now, that's exactly how they feel. How important it is that we don't forget about them. We are faced with staycations from now until who knows when. So all that money that we would spend going to Disney and going to God knows where we go to every year for recreational purposes, we need to spend it here at home. And what a perfect place, whether it's for a family outing, whether it's for a group of friends, whether it's for yourself. There's nothing like a trip into the wilderness, the outback of Northern Ontario, to alter your soul. And we need to remember that moving forward. Right now, from here on in, is a time when we're all going to start making decisions about our first trip of the year, fishing trip of the year. And so right now, it's really important that we don't forget the Northern Ontario operators. They're all there waiting for you. All you have to do is go to their websites or call them or send them an email and find out what's shaking.
Yeah, man. Well said.
That are it. I want to thank everybody for another wonderful, entertaining few hours here on Friday afternoon, the 11th of September, 2020. I hope all of you remember where you were 19 years ago on this day. It might conjure up some images that will maybe make us forget where we are right now. How's that?
Yeah.
All right. We're out of here. Thanks, folks. We will catch you next Friday. Take care.
See you, everybody.